What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Smoking Tire Podcast. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Dylan Optics sunglasses. You know those really cool glasses you see me wearing in every video with the matte finish? Those are called Dylan Optics. I just got a new fresh pair for 2019. Super excited. They've got the plastic frames, metal frames, ladies' size frames, and of course prescriptions now, all of which come with their patented NIR lens technology. That's that matte finish that makes them look fogged up when they are not really fogged up. But the new, every time, I beat mine up so badly that every time I get a brand new pair, oh my God, it's like HD life. They're so clear and have a really unique look compared to any other sunglass on the market. If you go to thesmokingtire.com and click on the Dylan banner in the Partners tab, if you buy a shirt that way, or buy a pair of sunglasses that way, I'll send you a free Smoking Tire t-shirt for supporting the people who support us. They're beautiful sunglasses. They're assembled in the USA, in Arizona, and they're just really, really nice to wear. It's all I'll wear. So go to thesmokingtire.com, click on that Dylan banner under the Partners tab, and I'll send you a free t-shirt if you buy any pair, or I should say for every pair you buy, I will send you a Smoking Tire t-shirt. We're also brought to you by Beeline Coffee. The Smoking Tire special blend, it's called the Roasted Tire 3.0, is now out in their store. It is my favorite coffee. I drink it every single day. In fact, I just ran out and I'm eagerly waiting for my next shipment. I don't want to drink anything else while I'm waiting. I want my Beeline. Also, some have said that their classic roast is great as well. I haven't tried the second version of the classic roast, but the first version was excellent too. Use code TST at checkout for Beeline Coffee, and I'll give you 15% off your entire order, big or small. No worries about it, whether it's £1, 10 pounds, or a monthly subscription plan, which they do. The gift that keeps on giving. Use code TST at checkout, 15% off your entire order. On this episode of the show, we've got our one of our favorite racing drivers, the world's fastest ginger, Porsche factory driver Pat Long. Patrick Long is the man. The dude is very, very fast. He is eternally youthful, and he has one of the best jobs on the planet, full-time racing Porsche sports and GT cars while driving the super crazy cool, like Steve McQueen Le Mans vintage cars in all the commercials, and then going to Rennsport reunion and winning tractor races. Like, this dude is a badass. We love him. The world's fastest ginger, Patrick Long, is on the Smoking Tire Podcast.
Patrick Long on the Smoking Tire Podcast.
Yeah, what's up? I'm going to lower my mic.
Lower your boom.
Do whatever you need.
Yeah. We just dropped into like the construction minute on.
Yeah, it's probably exactly what people don't want to hear about.
You'd be fucking shocked. Anytime I talk about construction, people start jerking off and asking for me to talk more about construction.
Really?
We're going to have my contractor on here
Nice.
to answer all the construction questions, because people work in the industry and ask me questions. And I know as much as I can learn, but they're like, "Are you using blah, 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 the double for the foundation? Because you better be." And I forward the question on to my contractor, and he goes, "Tell this guy to fuck off." Like, they all get a good laugh at the sight of the second guessing of the building.
Yeah.
Anyway, factory racing driver talking about construction. What's happening, brother?
Construction. That's
Are you constructing?
I've had a few home renovations. I mean, that's where we met when I was living in Playa. I did a renovation there, not far from where you guys were living. And I told my wife the last time we moved, we're now in Manhattan Beach, I said 10 years. We're not moving for 10 years. I'm over it.
Did you build your house?
No, this one we basically kind of gutted the inside superficially, but didn't move any walls. Or as the building code would ask.
It's definitely a renovation and not a rebuild.
That's right.
That's the key in
you gotta
California.
Leave your chimney stack
You
up,
leave
right?
the one. My neighbor just left like a fucking door, like a wall. Like, it's like a car. You find some shit box and you cut the VIN plate and 4 inches of metal out and get a year one body, and you go, numbers matching.
Yeah, exactly. Contractors hate me. I worked for the last 15 years for German engineers, so I like dealing in millimeters, not quarters of an inch. So whenever they see me come through on a project, they just all go take lunch break because they don't want to hear my shit.
Listen, this job is in metric.
Yeah.
The contractor's like, the fuck you talking about, buddy?
Yeah,
metric.
I'm like, I want you setting tile with lasers, not eyeballing.
It's like the
this.
first Mars
get
rover.
new tools.
The Mars rover, like they calculated some of it in meters, and the other team did it in feet, and the thing just like hit Mars.
Like full speed into Mars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You said fucking 1/4 inches. I don't know what I'm doing over here. 3 millimeters. I don't know why he's a Goomba in Manhattan Beach. Bro,
For NASA.
bro, I don't know about this kind of thing. Sorry.
There are some good surfer contractors who roll in their
It's
Priuses
gotta
with their
be.
flowing hair.
Just banging the housewives.
You said it. Or the realtors.
Your wife work from home. She stay at home.
The realtor, the Manhattan Beach realtor, is a real thing to behold.
There's a lot of pro sports athletes that are moving a lot. We have just up the street, 3 doors up, is a Carolina Panthers player. I don't know my NFL players' names, but he just retired anyways. He's building, and it's not a small place. So
I bet.
real estate's good.
Manhattan Beach is what's up, man. The volleyball capital of the universe. You have like those volleyball tournaments look like they're like the cliche, like from like you go to a house party, but it never really looks like the house parties in the movies look like. This is what a volleyball tournament in the movie would like hanging with the boys needs to be.
Yeah. It's like sponsored by Corona, right?
Yeah.
It's a big,
Yeah, and when Bud Light rolls their Airstream in and parks it at the pier, you know stuff's gonna get crazy.
It gets wild down there with the volleyball.
Volleyball and surfing, yeah.
Which do you do?
Little bit of surfing, not very good at volleyball. Probably not quite tall enough, but
but you got ups.
We play in our Porsche fitness camp. It's pretty comedic. There's not a lot of coordination.
Is that part of the racing driver
That's very
workout?
funny.
Playing volleyball?
I think it's a little bit more of a team building exercise. You see who is overly competitive and might get a little hasty with their teammates versus just communicating.
Is that why? Is it like a test of character? Do you guys do that kind of stuff, especially with new drivers? Because you do a lot of new driving coaching, right?
Yeah, there's certainly a team building aspect where you have your young drivers and a little bit of hazing goes on where you got to kind of get them in with the senior drivers and make them understand they're coming from a single seater mindset where the whole team's around them. They're driving for 20 minutes. They just need to show their speed to make it to the next formula. And all of a sudden now they're in endurance racing. So fitness camp is kind of the entry point of getting seasoned or cultured.
What does a Porsche team building day look like? Because like I've never had a corporate job, but my girl has a very corporate job, and they do a lot of team building stuff. Most of it seems very dumb to me, but occasionally she'll be like, "No, that was really fun." What do you guys do on a team building day?
Yeah, it's less trust falls and zip lining and more like spandex and 5 a.m. runs.
No zip lining? I'm out.
Yeah, no, we actually have done that. We did something in South Carolina, which was a pretty wild exercise with Core, who's the factory team in the U.S. for Porsche. But our fitness camps are usually in a warm climate in the winter in Europe. Lately, we've been going to Tenerife, which is an island.
This is the Tenerife connection.
Yes. Oh, you went there for some driving?
There's been press launches there, and we were always just joking. There's an ongoing joke on the show, and Porsche knows the joke that someone at Porsche is fucking someone. Like someone's got a Gumar over in Tenerife, and that's why. But it's because the fitness camp is there.
I don't know. I think it's a destination in the winter for Europeans, especially. There's a lot of Germans who own homes there. It's a pretty desolate, remote island. I thought it was going to be all lush and tropical, but it's pretty dry, and there's a little bit of elevation.
What country is it off?
It's a Canary Island, but
okay.
It's essentially off the coast of Africa. It's pretty far south of everything.
But it's more like deserty?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I went to the Galapagos last year, which I expected to be very jungly, and when I got there, it was very deserty, and that's kind of what I'm picturing. Can you give us a street view of Tenerife?
Yeah, it's Spanish. It's Spanish
Street
speaking
view.
is the local language, but
well, that's helpful.
For the most part, it's German. I mean, it's German tourism. I think there's a volcano.
Yeah, look at
in the
that.
center.
That's volcano-y.
That's how they make islands.
And that's
No
where the driving
shit.
aspect is is pretty good. I did
roads?
see some
Ooh.
press launches there. Maybe
Good roads?
991.
Yeah, they've done a bunch of press launches there.
It's nice and
That
twisty.
road looks excellent. How's the tarmac quality?
Is there
Do they
actually
have street view?
Oh my
Yeah, it's
God.
not bad.
Global.
Look
Wow,
at
that
this.
looks lovely. Yeah.
Well, that looks a little more
But
green
you know
than what
what
I'm
they-
used to seeing.
This sort of looks like the area around the Grand Canyon and parts of Yosemite.
That's because the simulator just copied and pasted.
I was going to say that might be Google helping the
it really-
situation.
What do you think?
There's definitely not guardrails like that.
Saturation? No, you think it's a digital guardrail added later?
I do. I
Really?
think it's all sim.
Did they
No.
do that?
No, it's a real guardrail. They
Enhanced.
they give you a proper demo while you're up there?
No, we're there. We ride the bus, the tourist bus from the airport to the hotel, and then there's actually a Olympic training center there, which is a big draw for the sports team. We have a medical team out of Potsdam in Berlin, and so everybody kind of trailers in there. I'm the only one from North America, so I have the 3-stop flight to get there. But everybody else, it's about a 4-hour flight from Europe.
Oh, so yeah, it's super convenient for the Germans to get to. But if you live in LA, that's the there's not a lot of downsides living in LA, but one of them is Europe is so far. And like one of those secondary or third level destinations in Europe, we thought about going to those ice igloos that they have in Finland. It's like 40 hours to get there from LA. And I was like, oh, damn, it's like 3 flights in a bus.
Yeah, and the departures on the way back are early out of Europe, so you lose a whole day on the way back just waiting to get your connections. It's rough.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad on the East Coast. I was living in Florida, and I was a hop, skip, and a jump. It was.
Yeah, the East Coasters don't understand what we got to go through, bro.
I've been commuting to Florida. I got back last night, and I got 3
you texted me yesterday.
trips
I'm
in
leaving
4
Sebring.
weeks.
I'll be at the show.
Hey, man.
That's a long way away to be confirming from.
The smoking tires got a place in my heart. Sebring is where we hang out. Daytona and Sebring, basically January, February, March. All our testing and races exist in good old Central Florida. Or
You're
I guess
racing
it's
the 24,
East Coast
right?
for Daytona. Yeah, East Coast. Or sorry, Daytona leaving next Tuesday.
What
coming
car are
Tuesday.
you in?
It's Park Place. They're a team out of Houston, Dallas. I should get that one right.
Time to rehearse this one. For
I ran with them
podium
in
speech.
2013, but I've been with Wright Motorsports out of Cincinnati for the last few years, back with Park Place, and then I'll also be racing in World Challenge. So,
So you're
it's
driving this
cool-looking car.
GT3R. What's it called? Is that what it's called?
Yeah,
GT3R?
it's the Generation 2, just came out, GT3R, a lot wider, a lot more aero, big, aggressive, something we talked about last time I was here, but every single evolution of these cars, they're just pushing the aerodynamics of underfloors, huge splitters, wings, and so we were developing yesterday, or last 2 days at Sebring, finished up yesterday evening and jammed on a plane, but
How was it in the bumpy stuff?
It's physical. I'm sore this morning. It's a new car and a new seat, and the position of the driver, we were talking about before we went on air, they fixed the driver's position now, and no matter what your height is, they move the pedals towards you or away, so the whole pedal set moves towards the driver as well as the wheel. So
It's like getting into your fucking iRacing sim in your living room.
Yeah, it's sliding everything right to you. But yeah, new muscles, new angles. The pedal box is real high in this car, so it's more like a single seater. Your legs kind of go straight out rather than down. And
Interesting.
So yeah, new muscles. And then we didn't pour a seat yet. I think a big thing with people talk, whether it's street cars or race cars, about low back pain, long drives, things like that. And we learn a lot about that in racing because it's obviously so much stiffer and a lot more G-forces laterally, vertically, even inline Gs. So
what does someone like you do if you were to drive with a guy who looks like, I don't know, Paul Dell'Alana? If you were to drive in a car with a guy who looks like me,
right,
we would not use the same seat.
Correct.
I wouldn't fit in your seat at all.
Right.
So what do you have, an insert made?
Well, yeah. So we have a shell. It's essentially like a motorsport design seat that you would have in a street car, but essentially it's fixed. There's no sliders on it, and then we rip all the padding and foam out of it, pour an insert around the biggest driver, and then the small drivers get a little bit of help with their own insert, but it needs to be small and quick in and out for the driver changes.
Yeah.
So it's a compromise, but I'm Jörg Bergmeister's 6'3". Patrick Lindsay's probably the same height as Jörg. That's the guy I'm driving with this year in IMSA, and so I'm used to being the small guy.
That was one of the more interesting parts about Speed Secrets, that book, when I was reading it, was just talking about the guy that became, he was like the first person to understand the importance of molding a seat, I think like in the 60s. And he's so good at it and knowing the physiology of the body that one of the guys that crashed really bad at Indy had tons of problems, like circulation problems, pain problems, and he was able to make him an insert that fixed all that. And the guy raced like 7 months later after like shattering his body apart just because of how supportive it is in every place.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can feel this in a street car. I mean, if you just go out in a modern street car with a really good seat compared to my 18-year-old SL500 outside that's got basically like a lazy boy on it, like just fucking turn right, and you'd be like, whoa,
Well, it's like there's holding you in, and then there's like the next level is like
the fingertips.
Making your fatigue can increase a lot if you're uncomfortable, right?
Yeah, you're essentially trying to immobilize the body so that you're not using muscles to stabilize your core and your back. Angles matter, but actually what matters more than lumbar angle is stabilizing the hips, because if you have little bits of movement laterally or forward, that's where you get low back pain. So we try to really get the driver tight. I mean, if you look at a Sparco or a Recaro that people put in their street cars, if you can get it really, really snug on the sides, right at your hips, that makes a huge difference. Everybody's always thinking it's the angle because that's the muscles that you feel fatiguing, but those are actually muscles that are just trying to stabilize you from movement. It's interesting. And also leg height, what you can do to support under your thighs and also on the side. I mean, that's why you see these wraparound seats on some of the more modern GT stuff.
Yeah. Lower back pain, dude. I'm with you.
Yeah, and then
two surgeries belts. In.
Really?
I've had 2 surgeries, yeah. I have to drive cars of highly varying degrees of comfort all the time.
And is that what it's from?
Yeah, it's from driving so much. It sucks. Every day. What is your actual, when you go to like the whatever you call the Tenerife camp, whatever they call that? What does the actual workouts look like?
The sports camp. Lot of running.
Porsche sports camp.
A lot of running, cross training, etc. We do it basically 2-3 hour shifts with a big lunch break in between for about 6 days straight. So
that's pretty gnarly.
It's a pretty rigorous camp. I train to survive the camp.
Yeah.
If they're 21-year-old kids, they can either muscle through it or they don't have girlfriends, families, or businesses, so all they have to do is train. So we always give them a hard time, like, dude, you got to get a girirlfriend. You're way too fit. You're making us look bad.
Crushing it.
Yeah, you're just running because you're waiting for the next race. So no, it's body work. A lot of calisthenics. Let me dumb it down. It's essentially planking in many different awkward ways. So.
Just focus on core strength and endurance, cardio ability?
Yeah, they're trying to keep body weight down. A lot of the series, the driver's weight doesn't factor into the dry weight of the car. So 30 pounds is a massive factor when you're only running a sub 2,000 pound car. So,
wow.
Yeah, makes a difference on lap times.
Cars under 2,000 pounds?
Well, prototypes.
Yeah.
Lighter GT cars.
What's the lightest car Porsche's racing right now? I guess
it'd have to be the RSR.
Yeah.
But they're getting ready to go back into Formula E, so that'll be...
that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
You going to drive one of them?
I don't think so. We just announced Neil Yanni, who has good experience in that series and also is a real single-seater guy. He was in the 919 prototype program. So I expect he and one other guy that probably have more single-seater experience. I'm basically a 911 guy these days, and I'm happy to be that.
You like body work?
Body work, roof over my head.
Yeah, roll cages.
Yeah, runoff areas.
Yeah, yeah. Their crashes look scary as fuck.
It's pretty wild racing. I didn't see the first 2 races this year, but I hear they're a lot quicker, and it's always carnage because the tracks are so tight.
Yeah,
and the driver lineups are stacked. I mean, if you read, it's kind of the who's who. At least the first 15 guys are as legit as any race series in the world.
Yeah, it seems like they're going hard. And a video just came out that I've not gotten to watch yet of the new cars, which seem better. I really tried to watch it. I couldn't do it. When they had to switch cars, I was like, "Are you gonna? This is dumb." A car needs to finish a race. Like it really should, right?
It's tricky. I mean, the tire is DOT, which is kind of cool from the street to track transfer, but also it makes it different. And then the braking distances are pretty long because of the tire and the weight of the car, and so you get some pretty dive bomb moves, but I haven't really gotten into it. I'm with you. I'm going to be careful what I say about the series, but I think there is a future for it. It's just not grabbed my attention. I'd rather be watching Supercross.
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean,
man.
they just need to figure out has nothing to do with the series. It really has to do with the batteries and the cars and what they can and can't do, and they need to figure out a way to balance the car versus the race where you get to drive one car for a whole race. That's all.
Yeah, well, we're going to see that. I mean, with the technology evolution of batteries, they're going to get lighter, they're going to get more powerful, and it'll definitely be a fixture, I believe.
I'm sure.
Yeah,
I'm
I
sure
agree.
it will. And electric cars in the street are fun.
It's a lot of linear power.
Yeah, in LA, I'm really starting to miss my electric car. I want another one.
What did you have?
I had a Volt. It wasn't like a cool one, but it was so nice. Are you driving the hybrid? Or are you driving I saw a Sport Turismo, I thought, right?
Yeah. I'm still turbo big
I'm not
bore.
trying to like eco.
No, I'm still twin turbo V8.
Oh, yeah.
The car is so fast. It's a 3.4 0 to 60 Sport Turismo.
It's a lovely car. Is it dark red? I only saw little glimpse of it in the parking lot.
I was sort of coached to spec a car that wasn't black, gray, or silver, as I think there are a lot of those in the dealer pool, and we only keep these cars for about 6 months. So, want to try something a little different. I'm usually not a flashy color guy, but
that's not that flashy.
That's not flashy. That's like a mature red.
Yeah.
It is.
it's like
It's
burgundy.
dignified.
Yeah,
it is.
No,
It's burgundy.
it's not. It's
good.
not a screamy red. It's
No.
like a subtle dark red. It's not. It's lovely.
Car's ridiculous, and I won't just pump it for too long, but 0 to 60, it launches really, really well. Same drivetrain in the Audi. This car puts the power down a lot better, and I learned that firsthand off public roads. And
Right,
yeah,
close
so
course, drag race.
It's a fun car.
There it was. There it is at Willow Springs. You did it there, obviously.
That's right.
Yeah.
Big Willow. Gotta love it.
I fucking love those things. I think the wagons look so cool.
Yeah, great looking.
Yeah, I got 2 kids, so Recaro seats in the back, and my son likes launch control. He's 3.5, and he's into it.
Like puts his head against the back and then
he
go
knows.
for it. Yeah, that's rad.
Imagine I had access to that kind of thing at 3.5. Holy shit. I'd be
Yeah.
into cars for sure. If you're doing like launches and in that would be amazing. That we had nothing like that. My dad wasn't doing launches.
My dad couldn't. He had a Scout. We were happy if it started.
Conversely, he was doing a launch at every single green light, if you want to put it that way.
I'm sure there were dads with big block, brake stands and smoky
Oh,
burnouts.
sure. Yeah, their kids like cars.
Hand hold the kid.
Leah Pritchett's dad, I'm sure.
Have you shown him? Can it launch hard enough that something will stick on the seat? Have you shown him that?
I haven't.
I know like a Tesla 90D will do that. I think it's pretty close. It might. Try it first, but
All right.
I think that would work.
Just like a McDonald's burger wrapper.
Yeah, something light.
You should show him that, and then you should do the balloon test. You know that where you have like a helium balloon at the front of the windshield, and you ask someone, when I launch, is it going to go forward or backwards? And most people think it's going to fly backwards because of a momentum, but the air also moves forwards and it holds it at the front of the car.
Nice.
So you
So
can
it
figure out
stays
if
the
your
same.
kid's an idiot or not, or a genius because he's 3.5.
So it stays
I probably
the same
would've got it
relative to
wrong.
the car.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that trick.
So the last time I saw you, we were out at Chuckwalla, and the rumor was that when we all rolled out of there, we had the 962 on the track, which was a wild day.
We did.
You guys were doing some sighting laps in the Mini Cooper, and the Mini Cooper didn't make it. So what's the real story there? Were you guys?
I wasn't there.
Were you grabbing
Breaking
B-roll, or were you maybe doing a few hot laps?
We were getting B-roll.
At speed.
Car's got to look fast, dude.
My attorneys have advised me to say that we were getting B-roll of the track, and I wanted to state that there were cameras on the car, Your Honor. Armin went to get a B-roll shot, so he put cameras on the front and back of the Mini Cooper because that was the car we had out there that would work for this task. And I go to the bathroom. And I just say, please don't crash. Just please don't crash. Just you're too excited. Just get this shot, okay? Because Armin's a very excitable person. We haven't had him on the show, but he's incredibly excitable.
You just always have to be careful with someone who's that excited to go on a racetrack in such a slow car.
Yes, because the funny part, you guys were so efficient. We will say that we were scheduled to shoot from 8 to 4. The motorsports team was out at 1 and you left at 1:40 or something. We finished shooting with you. So I go to the bathroom, I come back out, the Mini Cooper is back. I'm like, good, it's fine, no, nothing bad happened. I go inside and Armin goes, there's something wrong with the Mini. I'm like, what's wrong with the Mini? He takes me outside. He's like, I'll show you. I'll show you. He turns it on, and it's just clack, 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 clack. Like, what the fuck did you do? He's like, I don't know. We went and rewatched the footage, and you can hear on the front-facing camera that as he approaches the bowl, which is only halfway around that track, you start hearing the clatter, and he like shattered his timing chain guides, but he didn't hear it in the car, so he stays flat for the rest of the lap. So he basically grenaded his engine, and it's been sitting in front of his parents' house since, and that was when? July?
Yeah, August or July.
It's been sitting there since July. And they don't know he bought an M3 to replace it, which is extra funny.
The truth comes out.
He parks it around the corner and walks to his house because he's worried they'll be upset.
Stop it.
Swear to God.
You're outing him.
The M3 I saw.
Yeah, the Laguna Seca
blue M3. He parks around the. It's like the most bright color.
He drove it to his wedding. I was like, they didn't see it. He's like, they don't know, which is amazing.
Oh God, he's getting sloppy.
He's getting sloppy. But yeah, he went to do one lap, and halfway around, and he just kept going.
Yeah, as I drove out of there, I thought, we're leaving this track rented for 3 hours.
Yeah,
somebody's gonna get hurt.
That's what we thought too. We're like, you guys are leaving.
3 hours of extra track time. Everyone's got some terrible cars.
Because I was driving like a Ford Transit from Proving Grounds. I had a truck full of fake deer and cones. Like, I'm not lapping this thing, and we need this empty B-roll, which we did use in the video, which turned out very well. I thought the 962 video was
video
sick.
did do well. Yeah,
that was sick. We can post it up.
But that onboard shot, that's a Mini with a grenaded engine.
Yes, it sure is.
It's like learning Rendezvous isn't really a Ferrari.
And he turns it off. And he's like, "What should we do? Should we put oil in?" I'm like, "We should get a tow truck, dude. That's really bad."
That's a long tow.
We maxed out my AAA Premium. I think his tow was 142 miles. So I think Tangent covered 42 miles because the tow was 100. Yeah.
So it's good. So when you get towed by AAA on premium, it's not like at the 141st mile they start pulling over and drop your car off.
No, they
just start charging you.
It's a lot though. When you start
more than a normal towing service.
I think
it's like $7 a mile or $8 a mile. Shout out to Haggerty, 150 miles, unlimited tows. That's what's up.
I'm a Haggerty guy. I figured it out with the classic car stuff because it's way more affordable. Yeah. And I think it's less questions asked when something does go down.
Yeah. They know how classic car people operate on the fringe. No, the 150 miles of tow, unlimited tows is rad.
Yeah.
For I think it's $140 a year. It's not much. It's very good shit. They've treated me very nicely.
That's a very good deal. So you get to drive. You have a really cool job because I've worked with you now twice where you've driven these ridiculous, historic, like Le Mans winning machines, 1,000 horsepower, et cetera, and that seems like a rare position to be in motorsports.
Yeah, the classic car stuff, especially in Porsche sports car history, is insane. It's such a pure driving experience, and that sounds cliche, but when you get 1,200 horsepower turbocharged in a 962 or a 917-30, it's absolute insanity, and I just enjoy it. I've found myself in the last decade and a half being a pro driver that there are some free weekends where you can use your name to leverage rides in other types of disciplines, and I've been fortunate to get to race V8 supercars, Baja 1000, NASCAR Sprint Cup, whatever they call it now, and lately it's all been about vintage racing. The opportunities aren't any easier to come by because the cars are worth so much money and the trust factor is low. Pro drivers don't have the best reputation of jumping into classic cars because they lean on them hard and they rub fenders on a normal basis in their day job. So when you show up to Monterey Classic, everybody sort of, or the reunion they call it now, cringes when they see drivers that don't have gray hair and a slower disposition about them. But yeah, fortunately I've been able to forge some good relationships. Historica is a car you were just looking at before, 911, that was the 70 Tour de France winner, and raced that one. There's a video of it there on the right, just below the yellow 917. These cars are just ridiculously analog torsion bar suspension. So just like any classic 911, you feel every single bump in the road. And then, a built 2.5, this car I think was a 60... maybe 69, so first generation long wheelbase car, and you gotta hustle them. If you watch the center line of the steering wheel at the top, there's a lot of traffic in this lap, but you definitely work the steering wheel pretty hard, and it's fun.
to go from the really fast, aero cars, the brand new stuff to a car from the 60s that probably makes 200 horsepower, 250 horsepower, do you kind of like wish you were racing professionally in the 60s and 70s, or are you like, oh, thank God I didn't have to like put it all on the line in that fucking 917 because I'd probably, die?
Yeah, there's definitely that factor. The danger aspect of it. Ironically, I was looking up a stat from Masson Gregory, who was an American driver that raced in Le Mans in Formula One, and Wikipedia suggests other personalities after you look up somebody's personality.
That's not good.
It was.
Why does it always suggest me porn stars?
8 out of 10 of the drivers, the Pedro Rodriguez, it goes on and on. They're no longer, they were dying in the 30s. It was at that time when you went to the grid, you didn't really know which one of your colleagues might not be coming back after that race. So that part of it, I'm grateful to have more safety around me, but the driving aspect of it, I definitely prefer the old school. There's 3 or 4 different ways to drive the corner in an old car, whether it's high horsepower or low horsepower. You're lacking brakes and tire, so the driver has a bigger factor in it. Today, with technology, massive tires, traction control, ABS, aero, it's a much more digital way to find speed, and it's basically brake at this point, turn in, rotate the car, and get back to power. And there's very small margins, and it means that the driver has to find speed in a very difficult way to have some advantage over the rest of your colleagues. But
it seems like, they say baking is chemistry, and in the new cars it almost seems, based on what you're saying, like there's a very specific way to take each corner and each straightaway and each thing. You have to follow those rules, otherwise your bread doesn't come out well. Whereas with the older cars,
because
it's more
we
like
have
cooking.
researched this with the computers, and we know it's Porsche because we are the best statistics. We know there's a perfect way to do it, right?
Well, simulation, yeah.
It's every race team, right? I mean, every car, whether it's an Aston, Porsche, Corvette, it's like we all have the similar brakes, similar stuff. They approach the corners the same way, and right?
Yeah, it's not any easier in this day and age. It's just different. Like you said, you're measuring back to the millimeter in how you refine the car setup. A big part of the job for a pro racing driver today is still tuning the car. So that aspect hasn't changed, and there are a lot of those factors. Yesterday, we were doing damper sweeps, 3 laps at Sebring on the full course in, changing high speed or low speed bump, rebound, etc. And you're putting the tire right at the edge of vertical load and lateral load. So you have to be picture perfect in this day and age, where if I'm developing the 962, which is sort of a Group C era car from the late 90s, it's much more of a larger window, and therefore the driver is a big part, where this day and age it's very much technologically about turning the knobs absolutely perfect, and spec is a big factor these days with balance of performance, spec tires, spec aero, even across different manufacturers. It means that you now have 20 cars inside of a second, where back in the Can-Am days, there might have been, the guy on pole might have been on pole by 2 seconds. So.
Sebring has to be one of the most, is it one of the most difficult tracks just because of the bumps? Like I've watched those videos, I'm like, this is a racing surface? This is crazy.
Yeah, it's World War II landing strips. It's essentially on an airport and connecting different landing strips. And so you have very old concrete and then new asphalt, fillers, different era curbs. So the car might be good on half the track, and on the other half, absolute crap. Some tire manufacturers succeed in different areas. So yeah, Sebring is super tough, but really it's the bumps. We were talking about it yesterday. You come through turn 1, top of 4th gear, and you have huge amounts of lateral load in the tire. So the tire is essentially rolling under as it's being pushed outward, and then you hit a bump. So there's 2 forces going into the tire, and most of the technology and development in Europe comes over to the US, and we go to Sebring to find out what it's going to do on the bumps, because the tracks in Europe are so much smoother. They are either newer or they've been redone because FIA requires that. But some of the tracks in the US are brutal, old school, and it's challenging.
They don't do a lot of vintage racing at Sebring, do they? Because it fucking trashes the cars.
Yeah, they have a pretty big HSR race, a lot of PCA stuff. It's great weather at this time of the year. So as we were loading out last night, there was a huge, I think, PCA weekend coming in.
Oh, really?
So yeah, it's fun. I raced a 964 there at the 48 Hours, which is a big PCA event. It was probably 5 years ago or so, and it's tough when you have no power steering and you're going for it. It's fun.
Man, the bumpy tracks just have to. Can't get past picturing how bad it beats you up.
Yeah, I'm trying to think on the West Coast what some of the, I mean, Streets of Willow is pretty bumpy.
Streets of Willow's pretty bumpy. That's probably the worst ones I've ever seen. I don't think you would even race at. Like the bumpiest racetracks I've ever seen were both in the Texas area. Like Harris Hill is comically bumpy. You know that place?
No.
It's like 10 miles from Coda.
Okay.
And it's like the other track in Texas. Now, to their credit, they have like a membership program that I think is $2,000 a year or something. It's very affordable. And if you need a track in a pinch, they're there for you.
It used to be called Driveway. Is it like right outside of Austin, downtown?
It's pretty close to Austin.
Oh, yeah. I think I have been there.
And there's another one called Eagles Canyon or something like that that is like comically bumpy also.
I've been out to Motorsport Ranch, the Dallas Motorsport Ranch, and the Houston, and both of those have some pretty big bumps. Autobahn outside of Chicago, some gnarly whoops.
Yeah.
Those tracks will get your attention.
But I was referring to pure decay.
Just swampland.
In California, I think Streets of Willow is probably the bumpiest.
Yeah, I heard you guys talking about that on an earlier show, and running it in the opposite direction.
Yeah, they run that shit, and you'll show up there like, we're running the other way today. Like, what? What do you mean?
I'll go out to that track any day. I think it's technical, high speed, low speed.
It's fun. Yeah.
I tested Jeff Swartz 997 twin turbo BBI whammy Pikes Peak Killer
car?
I tested that at the streets, and it was no joke. I mean, it was laying black lines.
You need a little more track for that.
Yeah.
Not that much track for that car.
Well, he chose to test it there because it's so similar in the technical tight nature
good
of
point.
Pikes Peak. But yeah, it's a good shakedown track. We tested the RS Spiders there in preparation for Long Beach, so looking for tight corners and bumps at the same time. But that S section as you come back across the hill is legit.
Oh, with a pucker moment over the crest?
Yeah. I mean, you should be flat over that hill, even though you can't see on the other side of it.
Yeah. Did he put a cone there at least?
Not when we test. We don't even get the track swept when we test. It's like tumbleweeds.
You need to have that cone, because there's a fucking hole there that will rip the wheel out of your car. So anytime I've driven it, I've been like, cone at the fucking kink, because otherwise you're just going to destroy the car.
Wait,
I mean,
Big Willow Kink or Street? Sorry, I got distracted.
No, it's streets. After you go through that bowl corner to the right, it's flat over sort of a mild crest. But if you're like, 6-8 inches too far to the left, your wheel goes in a hole the size of this table.
Jesus.
And
I haven't driven that track in a long time.
It will trash the car. And, you could have a big one there.
We've talked about the self-policing of not filling in massive holes like that with curbs or dirt, because with dirt, everybody just runs over it, pulls the dirt onto the track. So it's almost like you have to leave the holes unless you're going to invest in your track.
That's a good point.
The problem will take care of itself.
I saw
some tracks on the West Coast don't.
3 blocks from here, going under the underpass, I watched a Caltrans F-150 dodge around a giant pothole, and I just like, that's irony. That's amazing.
Well, that's I don't want to get too sidetracked in the weeds on safari and rally cars, but something you said
not weeds, that's an actual direction.
Something you said in your road and track piece about driving LA when we first built the first Luft Auto. That was exactly what it was. I was like, why does everybody drive raised pickup trucks in Southern California? And it was exactly that answer. It's like, these cars are made for our roads. It's terrible.
Just my drive from my house to this office is like those roads we film on, that's not like every day. There's a car for that, and then the car, like the roads, it's like off-roading for me to get to the grocery store. So the Safari 911 makes way too much sense.
I want you to run your car up Piuma, the opposite direction. So run going up Piuma.
Up the
tell me how. Yeah, tell me how the.
My car's a little loose.
Yeah,
I mean, good. It's it's good. It's probably like it should be.
Good.
So how many have you built 3 yet? Are you on 3?
Yeah.
Is it a secret?
We're just not in the process of documenting it yet. But yeah, it's in process. It will be different, quite a bit different, and got to mix it up.
Different in terms of, will it be?
It's gonna be a Corvette.
Different era.
Okay.
Different different drivetrain. Gotta get
But
Turbos.
gotta freshen it up a bit.
Turbos.
Sealy's still doing it though, right?
Yep, Joey's involved. Rod's involved. The normal gang. We're using Joe Scarborough. Really cool engineer.
Joe Scarborough, that's that guy who built that crazy F1 car thing, right?
Yep.
With the LS engine or something in it that looked all crazy.
Yeah, he's unbelievable. SolidWorks,
doing
CAD, helping us design all of the skid plates, bumper design. He knows Rod pretty well. He also does some work with Batim, but he's been around a long time. He's super good at all the design and fab. And I actually go way back with him to the 90s racing go-karts in Southern California.
Oh, really?
So we knew each other as little Groms, but yeah, he does some awesome off-road. He does a lot of off-road, and he also knows a lot about classic cars. So we thought we'd give him a call. And Rod's super busy these days with the Emery Outlaws, and so we had to lean on some of the more junior, readily available crew. But him and Rod are tight, so Rod's still very much involved.
Can you spare a welder?
Yeah, more like can you spare somebody who can design bumpers and skid plates exactly to my OCD needs before we fire the welder up?
In metric.
Exactly, in millimeters.
I really like my car. I'm very excited about it. But here's a question for you. Have you spent much time in the snow in the Safari cars?
Not in the Safari, but in the snow, yes.
Because I texted Lee last night because I'm going skiing in mine. They're getting a lot of snow at Mammoth. I'm really excited. And I was like, do you think I should buy chains? Because it's a rear-wheel drive car. And I'm thinking like, no, probably not.
No, you'll be fine.
And he goes, no, but you should definitely get a spare set of wheels and snow tires. And I was like, what? Like, I have BFG, like, KO2s. Like, do I really?
Because you want the narrower footprint, like rally car, probably.
I guess.
Pounds per square inch.
I guess, but I looked it up from Tire Rack, and it's, like, probably, like, $1,500.
For wheels and yeah.
Yeah, to get a set of, like knockoff Fuchs, like, fake Fuchs, and, like, Blizzaks, it's, like, but I'm like, for 2 or 3 days a year, is that really a thing that needs to be? What do you think?
To me, it's not about tread or grip. It's more the compound of the tire and working in the certain. We've talked about that, but buy a set of basically the spare tires. The spare wheel that came in the front of your car is a Steely. It's a 15-inch, probably a 6-inch wide or 5.5-inch wide Steely. You can buy that stuff super cheap used. Buy a set of those and get a basic. Someone will send you a set of winter tires. That's not a bad idea.
That's a good idea.
Okay,
it'll look rad too. Running old school Steelies on a G body. It'll be love and hate. You don't need Fuchs for the snow. I mean, if you go to Europe and you see people,
not real ones. They're like 140 a wheel, pretty much.
Sounds scary to me. Go Steel.
Also, a good point.
$140 Fuchs. It's they're like I don't want to guess where it's made.
Stark, is it called?
Stark Industries. That's
it's like STARC.
That's from Marvel Comics.
I don't know. It's probably made in China.
Go Steel. They're spare tires. You can find them. They don't need to be matching date codes. Bring a Trailer's been selling a lot of Porsche sets of wheels.
I've seen. There's a one up there right now. I was like looking at, but I need it by like next week. Tire Rack will send me mounted and balanced.
I have a set of wheels you can use.
Right,
they're white though.
Later. But you haven't driven one in the snow though.
Not a rally car, no. But GP Ice Race this weekend in Austria is going to be ridiculous. Look that one up.
Is it GP Ice Race?
Yeah, I think it's got to be in Austria. It can't be in Switzerland. Good Porsche connection. I would have been there if we weren't so tight on racing and testing right now. But yeah, Selamze.
What are they? Be
it's old 911s? School, new school. There'll be vintage racing. There'll be skiing behind 356s.
Oh yeah.
Red Bull's bringing their NASCAR out. When they ran in NASCAR,
they put stud tires on NASCAR.
Yeah, that rules. It'll be good to watch. I think it's all in German. Oh no, they got English. Yeah.
That's gonna be great. God, they never really know how to have
my buddy
fun
Richard
over there.
Leitz over there right now. He put a picture up on his Instagram. Oh, dude, Mark Lieb. A bunch of guys.
Tut Hill's all about that too.
Walter Rural. See
cool.
See Walter whipping that.
That looks like
around.
Taxi ride. Was that RSR with snow tires on it?
Yeah.
Woo!
I think Cup car.
That's bitchin'.
Yeah.
There's some rad stuff here.
So where are you going, Mammoth?
Yeah.
Nice.
They got dumped on.
Yeah, you'll be good in that car. Don't worry about it.
Just straight up leave the tires.
I don't know. What is a BFG's? What do they suggest on that operation temperature range?
I don't know. It's a KO.
Should be all right.
It's a fucking Raptor tire.
Yeah, it should be good.
Should be okay. People who have Raptors wouldn't.
Season. Jesus.
People who have Raptors wouldn't like get new tires for the snow, would they?
No.
Like, I like Lee. I'm just like not trying to spend $1,500 right now.
Who is the Raptor breed?
Who are they?
Yeah, what do they? Who, if you were to try to generalize who a Raptor, I like those trucks.
I owned one.
Yeah.
So technically,
How was it?
Other than being giant, it was nice.
You had a V8.
I had a V8. Yeah, and it was. I had the shorter of the two, the clamshell doors, not the Super Crew one is so huge. It's like the turning radius is like a joke. Right. It's just it's retarded how big it is. And like you almost can't park them places. Like they're a little too. The Ranger Raptor is going to be what's up because it's a little more normal size.
The KO2 earned the Snowflake Mountain branding on its sidewall by providing at least 10% more traction in a spinning snow tire test developed by U.S. Rubber Manufacturer Association.
All right, that's good.
You're good.
10% more traction.
I'm not getting involved in this stamp of approval. Lee just wants to see a super narrow tire on one of his cars, like legit sucked in where the fenders flare out and the tires, Monaco rally style.
He kind of does it.
Yeah.
He just wants the pictures of that.
I think you should do it.
I don't know. Snow tire will last probably at least 5 or 6 years, right? So if I can amortize the cost of the tire over 5 or 6 years, it'll probably be okay.
Tire rack, send them out a set of tires. Come on.
You know what? Actually, I feel kind of bad because they sent me the set of tires I have, and I forgot to plug them in my first video.
Definitely
so I
don't
owe
send you
them a plug.
I mean, have you driven on snow tires before? Like, it's amazing.
Yeah, no,
they
I know
are
it's
fucking amazing.
I know, but I've never driven BFG KO2s on snow.
I think you should just do it and then
Just
decide because, again, how often are you? No, I think you should
just drive
do
it?
the trip in the KO2s. Like, I don't think you're going to spin out and crash. Like, I think you maybe get stuck and then you go, oh, all right, next time I'll buy snow tires. But
if you get a legit set of rims, I'll get Ross from Pirelli to send you a set of tires.
Does Pirelli make a snow tire? We'll figure it out.
They do.
Oh yeah,
Or do that.
winter Scorpion Zero or something like that, right? Sub-Zero.
Yeah, winter.
The Pirelli Sub-Zero would be way too. That's way too good of a name, right?
It's got to be called
The
Inverno.
refrigerator company's already got that shit on lockdown. It's called what?
Inverno.
Oh, is that
Winter?
Oh, Invierno, yeah.
So you had Alois Roof in the
what
house.
a sweet man.
Yeah, I went and saw him in December with Ted and Tim Pappas. We were over in Germany, and they kept saying, we got to go to Pfaffenhausen. And that place is unbelievable. That guy has the legit dream boutique A to Z restoration shop. He's got his own engine dyno room. He's got his own paint body booth. And then, of course, he's developing the next generation Yellowbird, which I got to take out.
Did you drive the SCR? That's the new one, by the way.
Yeah, I took it out in the wet with Alois, and I can't believe he threw me the keys, let alone in the pouring wet. And
he's like the sweetest guy in the whole fucking world.
Yeah,
and Estonia rules also too.
Yeah, we went out for Greek food afterwards and got pretty drunk. It was fun.
But he apparently has been basically living on that compound for like his entire life.
Yeah,
which is awesome.
Yeah, there's a little gas station connected to his showroom, and then you walk kind of across the roundabout, and he has his new Porsche Classic Center, and he does a ton of original restoration stuff, 901 really early cars, all the way up to what he's producing now, which is a full revamp on a carbon tubbed.
Are you contractually obligated to not discuss the merits or for good or better or worse of the SCR?
No, I'm not obligated or bound not to. I'm just a fan of Alois, and the car was interesting to drive. Past that, I don't have a ton of input on it. I'm more of a original Yellowbird fan.
Who isn't? Yeah. Did it feel like a 911, or did it feel like a completely different thing?
No, it drove like a 911, and it had a 7-speed modern box in it, which was really interesting. And I know he's been working with Bosch a lot on all the mapping, and of course it's huge turbocharger. So I was impressed with the drivetrain aspect of it. It was, usually when you're in a development phase like that with the car, I mean, it was pretty still unrefined inside, etc. But to drive the test mule, and it was pretty damn nice, especially in the wet. The TC worked really well. I mean, your fourth gear, the thing comes on to boost, and you got to know the TC is going to be under you because you're on public road. So it was fun. But a couple months before that, we did Luft in Munich, and Alois brought a bunch of cars, and then he's like, I got a surprise for you. So Stefan Roser rolls up mid-show in the original Yellowbird. I'm like, that's pretty badass. I'm a fanboy at the minute.
Yeah, that rules. Bruce bought that car.
Did he?
Bruce Meyer? Yeah.
It's
because why wouldn't you?
Yeah,
Bruce Meyer is such a fucking heavy hitter.
That video,
the Stefan Roser video.
Oh.
Yeah, we're talking for those who don't know the car, the video that basically made Roof the icon. The two pieces of media that made Roof an icon. One was the 211 mile an hour magazine test, which they sort of got invited to last minute, drove the car there. I forget where it was, at Nardo or something.
I didn't see it.
It was at some European test track, but they drove the car there from Pfaffhausen, and then they drove it home, and it was just like this little yellow 911, and it went 211 miles an hour when the Ferrari F40 went 201. The Porsche at the time was the 930 Turbo, went like, 190 something. Countach it was a Countach, did like 180 something, 190. And then this thing was just crazy fashion. And then Stefan Roser mobbing it in the Nürburgring video.
Yeah, that's just great. No gloves, massive oversteer on boost, just throwing it around. But yeah, Bruce, I think Tim Pappas got into Bruce's ear about the Yellowbird situation. And now that you say that, I've seen the car at the Peterson. Mm-hmm. It's in the front lobby, right?
Yeah. Well, Bruce, he got it, and I'm guessing that Stefan brought it over. It was restored by Alloy, so I'm guessing it was during that period that he brought it to get some test miles on it over to your pimp ass event. How's Luft going?
It's good.
When's your next one?
We are working on it.
Oh, you don't have any firm dates right now?
We may, but we haven't put anything out. You came last year. It's pretty big at this point. So we're just kind of laying low, taking an off season. Don't need to be pumping social media and promoting. I think we just kind of want to get back to more of the roots. I mean, from a purist standpoint, I kind of want to just have a gathering with a bunch of my friends and a bunch of cars, but we also want to be inclusive and
no going back to Deus, bro.
Yeah,
you can't go.
There's
like to 8 parking spots.
I did a little gathering in December in Venice that kind of coded displacement, just to kind of rid myself of big events and to get back to what we did at the initial Luft. I'm proud to say we were kind of one of the first disruptor car movements where it was just, hey, let's get together at a coffee shop. At that point, you only had Cars and Coffee in Irvine in SoCal. They were trying to do the thing in the Valley, the Supercar Sunday, and so I thought we got to get something here on the west side. But now it's every single weekend there's 3 Cars and Coffees.
Yeah, they're all over the place now. The Trancas one is dead, which makes me sad because that for like 3 or 4 months was the best one ever.
It was.
It's really a nice thing to have a Cars and Coffee event at the base of the canyons, because you can either go, because you can then go for a drive before or after. The one in Irvine never did it for me. The idea of waking up at 5 to go 40 miles down the 405 only to go 40 miles back up the 405, I was like, meh.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, we did. We went driving after, and it was good. I mean, it wasn't
the most Instagrammable meets, though. That's what it's about. The setting. It's, the setting becomes an art piece as opposed to just like whatever parking lot you can get. So there's a difference.
Yeah, and that's a challenge to try and have something that's big enough to be inclusive to everybody. Wants to bring their car, and you obviously want to include everybody, from an attendance standpoint, but you can't. I mean, the situation is that 5,000 people. We did it in Munich. We put the post up 3 weeks before the show, and we had 4,500 people in a market we've never been to, where you would think in Munich everybody has their summers planned out. It was just at the end of summer vacation, and people show up now. I mean, the communication is definitely out there. So when
you say 4,500 people, are you talking about attendees or okay? I thought for a second you meant which is amazing, by the way, but I thought you meant 4,500 cars were submitted, and I was about to have a fucking aneurysm.
Well, no, I mean, we try to go into urban environments, so we don't go out to the Rose Bowl where you could have 30,000 people. I mean, Bimmerfest or whatever, they do it at Fontana, but we don't want to go out to an empty parking lot. We want to do it in interesting architectural areas. So we went right to the center of Munich, and 4,500 people was a bit more than we had promised the landlord. So it's one of those things where even with 3 weeks notice, people figure it out pretty fast.
Well, how many were at the lumberyard?
Officially, we had to shut tickets off at, I think, 6,000, but there may or may not have been a few more people than that.
That was a massive car show. But yeah, look, just scroll down on that, Zach. It's because of the cars, are positioned in such a way against an interesting setting that it makes it different from any other show. I mean, that's sort of the point.
Yeah, we want to tell stories of these cars to people who've been around classic Porsches their whole life, and also to people who couldn't give a crap about classic cars and are just out for a fun Sunday morning gathering with their family. And so we're talking to two completely different audiences, and so you have to make it interesting. You got to make it Instagrammable, as you said, and keep it moving.
You're turning a location. You're not having a car show. You're turning an unexpected location into a car museum, which is different.
Right. It takes a lot more time than it looks like.
Yeah, it needs to be art directed, not just Italian cars over here, German cars over here. You know, it's there's actual art direction, because any one of these photographs could, you know, that Zach is just scrolling through, which are probably fucking Zwart with a good camera or something, but
Larry.
Oh, is that Larry Chen?
I think so.
Yeah,
Well,
these are Larry.
Yeah.
Equally amazing. You know, these could be, I'm using the wrong fucking words. Anyone could get shots like this. You know what I mean? For your Instagram or your whatever.
Yes and no. I mean, Jeff Zwart, who's basically art directing a lot of the placement of these cars, he definitely looks at light. He looks at backdrop, but he doesn't do all the work for you. So Larry's going to pull a much...
I'm not trying to undermine Larry.
But yes. But yes.
I'm just saying.
Kids with iPhones are going to get good shots.
Yeah. Any shot you take there, if the words didn't come out right, I'm sorry. Any shot you take there will look better than a shot taken in a parking lot of the, you know, mall.
Yeah, and the way that we produce a little bit of different content is this stuff. Larry comes the day before. He hangs out with us where we're doing a literally 36-hour shift with no sleep, setting up, and he gets all the backstage. So the cars are in different places. The lighting's different. I mean, that shot was at night, so that's fun, you know, to get guys like Larry. And we've been bringing in some younger photographers who don't have as big of a following as Larry, who are equally as talented or have a different feel, a different vibe, that are pulling different types of shots. So it's fun. We worked with Camden Thrasher this year, and he brought out some really, really fun stuff. And then in Europe, we've been using Vince Perrault, who's from south of France, and that guy's really, really good. He's similar to Larry, is that Larry can grab the personalities, the people, the faces, and the cars. And a lot of times we get one or the other, but yeah, it's fun.
We just did a shoot with Larry for charity for like Malibu fire relief.
I saw that.
Yeah, the pictures are ridiculous. I mean,
isn't that where was that Latigo where you were shooting?
Top of the Snake.
Oh, it was? Okay.
It was like being inside of a barbecue grill. I mean, it was just so crazy. Everything is charted. I haven't been up there since I went up there after the first mudslide, and it was a mess.
Yeah.
And I have not been up there in the last week, but it was a disaster up there.
Yeah, they're getting hammered this week. I mean, PCH just shut down right now. It's a lot
shut
of
down
people,
right now?
Yeah, a lot of people are evacuated again. So
mudslide concern?
Yeah,
wow.
Thinking about those people. We were up there on New Year's Eve. We went for a drive, and Latigo literally took my breath away. The Snake, Mulholland, everything down there is gnarly, but a lot of it has already started to grow back.
Yeah.
If you go through Latigo, it's like Mars.
Encinal as well.
Completely black, just charred and empty. I mean, it's sad. There's like hazmat teams up there, like fully suited on New Year's, you know, still cleaning up, just still burnt out cars. And I mean, the driving, I have to say, was good.
Good visibility.
You don't have to, you can't be sensitive to rock chips, but other than that, the traffic was low. There's not a lot of people walking or cycling, so it was fun.
It's very sad, and I was talking with our friend Bill, who owns Malibu Kitchen. Apparently, there's 700 homes are destroyed, and a lot of them are not rebuilding. They're just leaving wherever they're going into the city, or they're going to different places entirely. But so, like, the population of Malibu is going to be down by like 5 to 10%. Just because of this. And some people who are trying to rebuild, apparently the line to get approved for permits is like 2 years, even if you want to rebuild your house exactly as it was.
Yeah, no, I don't doubt that at all. We were up there, and I was following Morgan. I'm trying to think his last name. He owns the old place, and some of these guys like Morgan, I think, single-handedly saved their properties. We're like, I'm not leaving. Yeah. They were prepared. They had their own firefighting, you know, apparatus and went after it head on, but it's gnarly. I mean, I heard that AIG had their own fire departments that were going around to the houses that they covered and literally fighting the fire because there were not enough people, there were not enough fire departments to come even close to how fast it came through with the wind. And then if you look at Malibu and how hard Malibu got hit, and then you look at Paradise up north, I mean, 10x. I mean, it's insane.
I definitely saw some houses in Malibu where all the trees around the houses were burned, but the house itself, was not even, so someone had figured out how to save this one house.
Some of those houses I remember seeing, they have like big tanks up there, like that are probably for fire suppression. And I remember last year there was a big fire in Napa. That was the first time I'd ever heard about like the private firefighting industry and how sometimes they work with the local FD and sometimes they clash a bit, but sometimes people have to do it themselves. My friend, his house was in danger of being on fire in Ventura last year, and his friends like stayed up all night. They had garden hoses like they did, and then they would run to other neighbors' houses, and like all of them worked together, having to keep moving. Like, oh, now Bill's place is threatened. Now they soak it down. Fuck, now our place is in danger. We have to go back over there. One guy had an EMT uniform he wore as a Halloween costume once because they wouldn't let him through the fire line, and he was like, and so he went and put that on and came back, and they waved him through because he's like, I'll do anything to go help my friend protect his house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's a fine line. I mean, there were a lot of people who lost their lives because they didn't evacuate, but then there are other people who knew what they were doing and had the right equipment. I have a friend who lived just up over Trancas, and the 5 adjacent properties all burnt. Right above Malibu High School, and their house made it, and it was a recent build, so everything was to code, everything was trimmed back, modern roof, modern, everything was the way it needed to be, and they even had their own fire system that draws the water out of the swimming pool. Mm-hmm. So I think that technology and code does play a part in it, but some of it's dumb luck.
So their house saved itself technologically, or it was dumb luck?
We don't know.
Wow.
I was texting
Were they not around to see it?
They evacuated, and he was watching his his security cameras, and the fire came from all sides, and then his cameras went blank, and he was like, all right, it's done. And this guy owns the Dolphin Gray Workshop 5001 911, and that car was in the garage, so we were sure that car was gone, and it survived, but he had a storage shed just next to the garage where that 911 was, and the storage shed was gone, like burnt to the ground. I mean, trees to his front door were burnt. But
the house was fine.
Yeah, but concrete sides, modern roof.
Yeah.
But we don't know.
Build your house out of concrete.
I don't know.
What's the story on that Workshop 5001 place?
Marlon is a guy. He worked at Singer for a while. He was also at, I think, the Auto Gallery.
Johnny Lieberman doesn't shut up about these fucking cars.
That car was built for a friend. It was a long story. I don't know if we've talked about this, but it was a car on Bring a Trailer, and he was a friend who's never had air-cooled cars, and he said, I want to build a 911. And I said, look, here's my opinion. Buy a 3.2 engined 73 and try to keep it narrow. Don't flare it. Keep the wheels original and go crazy everywhere else. So car's pretty bonkers. At 3.4 on Motec, it moves, and it was well built.
Aren't they like as expensive as Singers?
That part of it, I don't know. It was not cheap.
That's what I was told.
Yeah,
but it's a very simple look.
Yeah, I think minimalist is kind of my style. I'm not really into tons of paint and graphics. Normally we run a gray Steely on it, but he does have a set of Fuchs which are actually nickel colored finish, similar to the window trim. But yeah, that car's fun to drive. It's on a 7-inch rear tire. It's about all it can handle.
It's very hairy. 3.4 is a lot of motor for a little car like that.
Yeah, you got a lot less weight than when you went to G-body. So in 74, you got a lot more weight because of impact bumpers and some of the other regulations.
What does that thing weigh?
I want to say 2,200, 2,300.
That's light.
Yeah.
That's really light.
Yeah. So and most cars with a 3.4 are running like a 9-inch rear wheel, and that's a 7-inch wheel. So it's keeping the aesthetics and not really changing the greenhouse or anything.
I like that blue. Pull that blue one up. The blue one is fire. I like that.
Yeah, so that's a later car.
Yeah.
Obviously an impact bumper car that has sort of an IROC style bumper on it. So probably got it down to a similar weight, just a different aesthetic.
Yeah. You know those guys in New York, the G program guys? Have you seen those?
They
cars?
drove out to Luft one year from New York.
They drove 3 cars. Yeah, it looked like those.
Yeah,
they charge quite a bit of money. They keep the look pretty simple. Twin plug Motec, 3.4.
Yeah,
same kind of deal.
My opinion. I've driven a lot of builder cars, and you can get all the right ingredients, but you got to know how to mix it together. So there's some really good stuff out there, and there's some stuff that looks good and drives a little bit ratty. So it's Beauty's in the eye of the
I
beholder.
drove that car. I thought it was pretty solid.
Yeah, no,
The
I don't know.
G-program
I don't know
car.
anything about their cars.
Yeah, I know.
but,
Their car was nice.
cool.
I mean, it was a good car. And especially considering it had been driven 4,000 miles,
Yeah.
since it last was looked after at a shop. So it was nice. Yeah.
Yeah, the hot rod market right now is still booming. I mean, I watched some of the numbers that these cars are pulling, and it's insane.
Well, the auctions are this coming weekend, and I have the catalog for RM, and I don't know what to make of some of these pre-auction estimates. Like, there's for a couple of modern 911s,
Right.
where there's it's like a 2016 GTS Rennsport edition.
I saw that.
You see that?
Yeah.
And they said it was going to be like 250 to 275 grand. Someone really going to spend that? I
Yeah,
don't know
those
about
cars
that.
are tough. When we looked at the results of the RM auction that they did at the Atlanta Experience Center, that was all Porsche.
Yeah.
Some stuff pulled huge numbers, and other cars like that are still pretty new, 991-esque.
Yeah.
Those are special commemorative cars. They're lower in production numbers, but maybe not at that point where a collector's gagging to have them. So yeah, I was checking out the list of RM. They got some cool stuff. They got some early cars in there too that are obtainable, sort of sub $100,000.
Yeah, there was like
hot
a
rods.
numbers non-matching like 911E or something that was pretty nice. Like there's some cool stuff. Zach's scrolling through. Zach, scroll up that Bentley. Look at this thing, the Bentley Blue Train recreation. This is one of the hottest like pre-war cars I think I've ever seen.
That thing's gangs.
It was built. This is a recreation that a company's doing on the original Bentley frame, based on this sort of hot rodded car built for one of the original Bentley boys who raced a train like across France, which was a blue. The train was blue, and it's got this fastback roof. And what this company does is they'll put any Bentley engine of the period you want in it, including they had an engine for a tank. So this one has the Bentley tank engine in it, and it's like 550 to 600 grand pre-auction estimate. I mean,
For a recreation.
But there's only one exists of the, and it's in like a never sell collection. So you're not going to get it no matter what. So
I wonder how
still
they
pretty
drive
cool.
in comparison.
I bet it's fast.
Ooh, that would be great. Yeah, compare the two.
I saw there's a Porsche
that.
Junior on the docket.
The
that'll
tractor,
dude.
tell
That's a
me
nice
about
example.
The tractor race.
So we were at the Rennsport.
Oh, yeah.
Rennsport reunion
Yeah.
at the end of September, and the tractor race. I own two juniors. I bought one out of a guy's front garden in Germany for a couple $1,000s and imported. It cost me more to get it to California than it did to buy
Where
it.
do you keep that?
My dad lives in Central California, and he's kind of a hoarder. He calls it collecting, but I call it hoarding. So he's got plenty of space, and so I dumped it up there as a surprise to him. I had the trucking company drop it off as a surprise. And so end of September, Rennsport Reunion 6, and they announced we were going to do a tractor race, Le Mans start at Laguna Seca. I don't
One
know what
lap?
the new name is, WeatherTech Raceway. It was about half a lap. We raced from start finish line to the turn into turn 5, and then we took that exit gate.
Oh, okay.
Because I mean, a Porsche Junior tractor is a single cylinder, like 50 horsepower,
Yeah.
and these are geared for pulling farm equipment. So it was not a fast race,
Where
but
they
it
go
was
like
the
10?
most. Yeah, I think I got 25 miles an hour out of my single cylinder Junior.
Okay.
So they've got two sets. Well, they got the high and low gear set or main drive, and it was pretty funny. Le Mans start run to it, and there's that girl was really. I think she had a standard, so she had. A 2-cylinder, but she finished second. But it was fun.
Dude,
By the
People
way,
were
you won this race.
Well, it was reported. I had the whole shot, but I don't know if I was the official winner. I don't think I was. But
You're in the lead in the only photograph of the race that really matters, and
That second one on
that
top.
means you won. Yeah, second from the left. Yeah. See, look, that's you.
That's a
and
whole
you've-
shot.
You've won.
yeah, well, I got to start finish in the lead. And it was all about landing on the pedals and getting a quick jump off the line.
Is
so we
the
learned
key
that
on
in
the
the
left
go-kart
side?
Yeah.
Porsche tractor.
Yes, and they were already running. I just let mine roll against the pit wall because it's patinaed.
There you go.
So my fender was my stop right there. It looks like we were locking wheels. That's Jeff Sword on the inside in the white suit. There's a couple factory drivers, Earl Bamber, Patrick.
Dude, it was
Pillay.
hilarious because I was working, I was on break, and I'm sitting in the lunchroom, and I just hear like this go back, and then more, and I just turn around and like, look over my shoulder because the front straight's right there, and it's like you, Pink Pig, just tractors, and everyone gets up in the lunchroom and just walks to the window and starts laughing. It was so cool.
They have a hand throttle because you're doing you're doing farm work. So you could set the hand throttle, stand up, take a bow, look around. We were driving maybe off-road a bit, shortest way around the track, neutral down the hill into turn 2. So there was a few questionable safety aspects.
How are the brakes?
Don't need brakes. Yeah, 20 miles an hour, you're flat into turn 2 there. So it was fun. Rennsport this year was unbelievable. It was an extra day, so 4 days of Porsche mayhem. For people who don't know what Rennsport is, you basically show up and it's racing all day, but there's massive car corrals, things going on at night. We drove a 935 into the Baja Cantina and threw a little party on Thursday night. So it was fun.
Porsche Kool-Aid is served at every location.
Yeah,
you must drink it.
It's Comic-Con for Porsche nerds.
Is the tractor thing going to continue happening? I feel like it's got to. I feel like it was a big hit.
I'll tell you, it was debated till the 11th hour on whether we were going to do it or not, and I think afterwards it was a no-brainer. It must have received more coverage than any other 917, 962, 935 race. It was the highlight of the weekend. People
now these guys
hilarious.
are like, fuck, I got to bring my fucking tractor every year. People were like, just this once. All right, I'll put the tractor in the trailer just this one time, and now guess what?
I have a photo somewhere buried in my phone of an open door on the side of a transporter, and you can see the front of a tractor and then the back of like a GT2 or something, and it's just so cool. Such contrast.
That would be a great picture.
I'll tell you the values of I've seen the Rennsport factor. I think this junior that's for sale, I think today out at Scottsdale is going to go for probably twice what it would have gone a year ago.
Do you think this is people's meal ticket into Rennsport? They're like, I can't afford a 911S, but I can get
I don't even think people knew
race.
what a Porsche tractor was.
What's it at?
It's
very pretty. Pull that over.
30 or 40. That's
a nice one, right? This looks pretty good.
That's a bigger junior. So single cylinder. I think those are called 109.
Diesel Junior 109.
Yeah, it's the faster of the two juniors. 1960.
Oh, so is this a contender?
Oh, that car. Yeah. Well, juniors are quick. We got to start in the front because we had little engines, but that's a restored one. It looks pretty damn nice. I like more the original look, but that thing will pull big money because for a big Porsche collector, it's kind of a comedic part of his collection, and drop 30 grand on a fully restored tractor turnkey is not a big ask for some of these guys.
Yeah, totally.
I wonder if you could use it also as like a snowplow on your little property if you wanted. Like,
you could, totally.
For sure. Could find a use
It's got
for
some
it.
cool shape. I like these.
Does your dad do
taillights
anything practical with the tractors?
No, he just drives to his neighbors and drinks beer and drives back.
Oh, that's
not
great.
not on public roads, just on the driveways.
Ferrari tractor, for Lamborghini tractor versus Porsche tractor, which is faster?
Didn't they do that on Jay Leno's show?
I think they might have. I think I've seen it somewhere.
I don't know who won that one. I think Jeff might have won it I think Jay was driving the Lambo and Jeff was driving his. Jeff's got a junior. He's had a junior for a while. He brought it to Luft 3 at Modernica in 2016, and it was like the kids' jungle gym. Just kids climbing all over it all day.
Before we get to questions from folks, we have a lot. I have a fun anecdote. You know my SL Mercedes? It's outside.
Yeah.
I've got a 2001 500 SL, and it was making a horrible rattling noise the last couple weeks, which I thought was like a loose heat shield or something under there. It didn't seem, the rattling noise wasn't really related to the speed of anything like that. It was just, it would rattle when you would give it gas, even in neutral. Well, I took it to the shop, and he says, something has impacted my catalytic converters. Like, it got hit on like a something.
Ooh.
And, all right, fine, they need to be replaced. Stupid expensive.
Yeah.
I was not happy, but I replaced it. Okay, I get the car back. It's running great. I have no problems. Except, I don't know if they used a different catalytic converter than, it says OEM on the receipt. But it kind of sounds like I have an exhaust on my car now.
Nice.
Well,
It's got a little burble actually that I'm kind of happy about. It's actually sort of a bonus. I put the window down when I was driving home from the Chris Cornell concert last night, and I was like, what what the fuck is that? Like, is something? And then, yo, my car's louder. So I think my new cats are like sport cats or something.
I hope you don't get the new ticket.
I mean, if I
heard Zach going off on that. He
the
was
exhaust
very
law?
passionate about that new law.
Yeah. I don't think Porsche people are really going to be subject to that law. I don't think that law is for them.
That's just for Mustang hot rodders?
I mean, I think there might, I don't know. Zeke was talking about a lot of anecdotes of people who were just getting stopped in stock cars, but there weren't really any details on what those people were doing when they got stopped. And I don't feel like the kind of guys that like I hang out with now in my 30s are the kind of people that are going to be stopped by the cops and fucking reffed.
I feel LAPD guys are usually chilled. It's two of them in a cruiser, and they're not real interested in whether you signal or you're texting at the stoplight. They're like solving murders.
They have shit to do. Yeah.
I think it's just too early to say. Like, I think I'm glad Zeke came on and explained it because there was a lot of misinformation, and that definitely needs to get out there. But I think the anecdotal evidence of who's getting pulled over where, like, we just have to wait a little bit.
Mm-hmm. And if they make it legal and the cops, there's going to be a meeting in their squad room, like, all right, guys, here's the new law. Now let's go enforce it. So they're going to go write a few. And then I feel like it's probably going to fall off the radar. But I do hope they get it fucking wiped because it is kind of dumb.
So your new cat, because I interrupted you, that is from the dealership?
It's from an independent service shop I use in Culver City.
But it's an OE part.
I didn't physically hold it in my hand.
But he told you it's an OE part.
He told me it was an OE part, and it says OE on my bill, and I was charged like it was an OE part.
Well, I have no doubt that they would make updates to, certain emission pieces and make them more efficient, cleaner, and better sounding.
Yeah. It also could be that this problem may have been developing over time, and so my car might have sounded before like artificially quieter than it should have.
It was like plugged up or something like that.
Maybe.
Does it run better? Faster?
Not really. So the sound's cooler, but
it's not a go fast car anyways, right?
You'd be surprised. We don't think of 300 horsepower as very much, but when I go when I go on the 90 just between Venice and here on the 90, and I get it open and I go flat through 3 gears, it's actually pretty quick. On the street, it's a pretty quick little car.
What does that weigh? 4,500 pounds?
It's probably close to 4 because it's got a hard top and a power convertible top. But it goes all right.
It's a cool car.
It's a good traffic car. It's good for sitting in traffic.
How's the Countach driving position?
Not as bad as you think.
Really?
No, you'd probably find it very comfortable, actually.
I'll tell you, Countach and a DeLorean were two cars on my wall. A 930 Turbo. Those were... What year were you born?
81.
Yeah, so same age. Yeah, 81 as well. Those are the cars that
have you driven a Countach?
No.
Would you like to?
Yeah,
you can drive
it's
mine.
part of the VAG group, so it wasn't then, but it is now, so it qualifies.
It's very nice, actually.
I'd love to drive that car.
Yeah, it's really, really fun. It's
I'll throw you the keys. I want you to drive my 72 911 and tell me what you think. MFI. Right. Have you driven MFI cars?
No, a mechanical fuel injection car? Well, my 87 has a mechanical fuel injection.
Technically, right? Yeah. No, it's EFI, right? It's Motronic.
Oh, no, it has a trip. Yeah, Motronic. Yeah.
No, MFI, old school Bosch mechanical fuel injection. It has a different sound and it drives differently. So it's a 2.7 RS spec engine, but it has the original MFI and 72 that came with that mechanical fuel injection.
Is that in the Aubergine?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
I'm big into the purples these days.
Yeah.
Have you driven one of Lee's cars yet?
I have, yeah. That was part of the reason that I jumped on the bandwagon was we were up at Monterey Car Week hanging out at Cooper McNeil's house, which is not a bad spot overlooking Spanish Bay. And Lee, I'd seen his post on the car, and this is just after he finished his personal car, and he threw me the keys, and I felt like a kid on a BMX bike. I was hitting people on 17-mile drive. I was hitting people's driveway. Yeah. Just effing around. It's a fun car.
Great.
Yeah.
In LA, it's really nice, especially because of the dips and stuff. Yeah. Like on Washington Place, there's those two Phantom dips.
I gotta slow down so much.
Dude, they get everybody out. There's these dips in the road on Washington Place that are unmarked and invisible at night, and if you don't know they're there, you're launching.
Yeah.
How about right at Playa between Culver and Dockweiler? If you're driving on the west side against the water, if there's 2 lanes there, and if you're on the closest side to the beach,
the big
there's
holes,
some huge dips right there that'll literally just rip a splitter off the front of the car.
And so that is what the Safari car is
flat
for.
out,
full on the floor, no problem.
Yeah, I'm glad you're into the purples now, because I know you've spoken plenty about the color of your car, but I was one of the people who texted you and I was like, do not paint that car. And you're like, if you want to fucking buy it, then you can keep the color.
That was before.
I still got the text. You were already wound pretty tight at that point. And a few people had gotten into you.
I bought it.
That was right when you bought it. I was like, that color is sick. And you're like, you know what? Fuck you.
Well, because I bought it and then I didn't see it in person. That's why. I bought it sight unseen.
It's good.
Planning to paint it, and the pictures were horrible. But it turns out it's great. No, I love it.
It's great.
And it works good with the interior now.
I did not like it when you bought it at first. I really didn't. And then when you're like, I'm going to keep it, I'm like, what's your car? It's fine. But now, something about with the wheels it has on it, with the stance it has, and I think with the rally pod and in different light, like it just looks really entertaining and unique.
Yeah,
and
it's silly.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's very silly.
It's very period correct for 87 as well.
Yeah.
It's like,
can I have a spot in next lift?
Oh, yeah. I think
you can
I know
drive
somebody.
up on one of
Your
those.
people talk to my people. Yeah, last year you text me. I think it was like 10 a.m. the morning of the show. You're like, "Yo, I forgot to buy a ticket, but I'm coming with Zuckerman."
Well, that wasn't what
in an Alpha.
So here's how that went. We were all. Spike had 3 tickets, which he physically did have. We all met up at Zuckerman's garage to drive together because we knew parking was going to be horrible. We got 3/4 of the way there in Zuckerman's Alpha Giulia, which he was beating the shit out of, by the way.
Are rad.
It's the one that Jerry drove on Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. It's like yellow. It was actually quite nice once he was on it. And we get there and Spike goes, I left the tickets at home. And so he tries to get his wife to text him pictures of the tickets. He goes, this'll work, definitely. The security guard was having fucking none of it. And Spike did a, do you know who I am? And then Zuckerman tried to have a bribe. Zuckerman was like, just give him 500, but good. Like, Zuckerman was trying to, I'm in the back of this Alpha, like with my head buried in my hands. And Zuckerman's like, just text Patrick. And I'm like, fine. I do not want, I'm like, look at all these people. He's so busy. He does not want to deal with our bullshit right now. And then Spike started like yelling at the guard, and I was like, "Oh no, I need him."
No, our guards are mellow. They work LA Auto
This
Show,
was
so
all
they're super
Spike's
low
fault.
key.
I would throw Spike under the bus every day of the week on this. The security guard was doing the exact thing you paid him to do.
Yeah,
he was doing a great job, and if it was anyone else, I'd be like, "Yeah, fuck those people." Like even as me, I'm like, "Yeah, fuck those people. We were those people."
I handed Spike the ultimate care package for you guys, and I said, whatever you do, just don't lose this one yellow pass, because we only had 75 parking spaces on the roof. Everybody else had to take a bus in, which sounds worse than it was.
We weren't just trying to get in. We were trying to park in.
Yeah. And it all worked out in the end. But yeah, Spike had pulled the flop on. But actually, Zuckerman had one of the coolest cars at Luft this year on display. So we were gonna make it right for him.
Which
it
car?
Wasn't about you.
What car was he displaying? The
Ice Racer. Yeah, basically Carrera 4-cam Ice Racer from Sweden in legit. Original trim, real rough paint. I think it was Jerry's car before, and that thing has the spike tires, the whole 9 yards. So you'd walk 9 out of 10 people walk by that car all day long and think it's just a normal 356 coupe, but 4-cam engine is a ridiculously awesome engine and very rare. I mean, the engines alone are multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars.
I was just talking about that engine with someone yesterday, actually, about the 4-cam engine. By the way, almost no Porsche engines are 4-cam for those out there, which is why that one he's talking about is like $200,000, $300,000 to get one, and why the new Singer engine rules.
The car sounds really wild. We had at Luft UK the mule. They brought the mule over. So Tim and Matt sent the mule over, and that was a cool car. We had Jonathan Williams, who's been a big part of the.
Are always good.
Yeah, super rough looking, flared
Super rough.
964, but
Yeah.
the engine does sound amazing.
It really does. They brought the I don't know if it was finished cars, but it was the white one that looks finished. I think it's not somewhere between a mule and a production car. It looks like the business. Yeah. And they brought it to Eli's place when I went over there for the party, and it was good.
How was it opening? He's got to be busy this week.
Were there a lot of people there.
Auto
Car Club in Scottsdale. Yeah. If you're in Scottsdale.
Is that your competition? totally different.
No, no. I mean, not 400 miles away.
Yeah.
No, I'm not worried about that. No, I'm happy to. If you're in Scottsdale and need someone to keep your car, check out Otto. I'm happy to support Eli. I think the facility was beautiful. The party was great. I hope he fills it up.
Yeah, it looked like a fun
I
time.
don't want to see what his air conditioning bill looks like to climate control that fucking. It's the size of a Costco.
Yeah, Scottsdale in the summer is
Scottsdale in the summer,
20 degrees.
He's got to wrap that roof in Mylar or something and beam that sun right back.
It is
oh my
going to be
God.
hot as balls. He's got to have to air condition that thing. Poor
Yeah,
guy.
there won't be a lot of driving in the middle of summer. I think it's a pretty seasonal spot.
Well, his angle is interesting. His angle is, wouldn't Cars and Coffee be awesome if we didn't have to go outside? That's his angle.
Not a bad way to do it. You got the square footage.
Yeah, and if you're in Arizona,
Yeah.
in California, I kind of like being outside. In Scottsdale, I'd be happy to be in air conditioning in my Cars and Coffee. All right. We are cutting off questions because we're going to them for the next little bit, and I'll try to get to all of them before Patrick's got to go. Amin says, I'm looking for an E91 328 manual wagon as a daily driver. Is it going to be a money pit? How much do I need to set aside for maintenance? E91s are not particularly horrible. I think that 6-cylinder engine was unappreciated when it was new, but now people are like, ooh, a 6-cylinder engine. It's not like some 4-cylinder turbo thing. I don't think they're worse than other BMWs of the period. Zach, how much money should someone put away for a 10-year-old BMW a year?
It depends on a lot. Like how many miles are on it, who owned it before, what kind of maintenance did they do, has it had maintenance done at regular schedules? I mean, the things that I've had go wrong on those cars are like they have some sensors, they have throttle position sensors they have more of them than a Honda at the time or maybe a domestic car at the time. They just have a lot more computers in them. I remember my brother had like a 92 325 and it had this light box above the driver's seat that had all these light sensors on it. So if your pump was going bad and you could reset, it was kind of a gimmick.
Yeah.
But just the fact that back then they had that much monitoring going on. So make sure it's been well maintained and has a really strong history. That will help you determine how much money you need to save. I mean, if it's been beat to shit and it's it runs, but it doesn't pass smog because it's got check engine lights going off, you should have several $1,000s absolutely set aside, because sometimes the parts that go wrong cost $600 to $900.
Yeah.
Like a solenoid on my Vanos is a $900 part from the dealership.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a hard question to answer. I mean, I'd say a couple G's if it's been well maintained.
Yeah, find somebody who's got a binder of chronological service history and it's only been a few owners. I'm less worried about high mileage cars and more worried about a lot of turnover, different owners, and an incomplete service history, because you want somebody, like you said, I completely agree, who's given the car everything it's ever needed, proactive maintenance.
I think you hit a point that I learned after about my car, and miles matter less at a certain point. Miles matter less than ownership history and attention.
Yeah, I mean, we're not talking 200,000 Delta, but 50,000 miles. I'd rather have a 75,000 mile car that's been given everything it's ever needed than a 40,000 mile car that's been sitting in some guy's collection and every piece of plastic and rubber is completely hardened and gone.
Yeah. Matt says, started listening to the podcast a year ago, and after 28,000 miles in a Charger Daytona in Destroyer Gray, I finally caught up. Thank you, Matt. Shakar says, what do you think of the Lazante 911s with the TAG F1 engines? Also, would a sorted 993 with a 458 Ferrari engine be a bad idea? All right, a little bit to unpack here. You know about these Lazante 911s, Patrick?
I don't know a ton about them. I saw one at Rennsport on display.
Yeah, so the basic idea is when TAG F1 worked with, I think it was Ron Dennis and Porsche to develop turbochargers for Formula One and this V6 engine that was the TAG Turbo V6 engine in the Formula One cars. They managed to get one of them into a 930 Turbo and either gifted it to Ron Dennis or he bought it somehow and has it. Then there was this cache of engines discovered a couple years ago, which a friend of ours was talking about, this cache of TAG engines, and the company called is it Lanzante or Lazante?
Lanzante.
Lanzante is apparently building 930 turbo engine cars with these engines in them.
So it's like continuation is basically what it seems like.
And some of the engines were spares, and then he's got a buck tag up. Some of the engines were actually used. This one says, does it say Niki Lauda on this one?
Niki Lauda 84, engine number 34 with a VIN, and then it has an engine history next to it. And so it just says 1984,
Wait,
Monaco.
pull that up. You
Niki
took
Lauda.
it down.
Oh.
Where'd it go?
1984, Niki Lauda DNF. 1984, Britain, Niki Lauda first. So it's the history of that engine.
Here's a question for you, Patrick. Would you ever want to drive that car?
Yeah, I
Is
would
there
drive it.
something
I'm not sure I
appealing?
would want.
Yeah.
I don't think I would want to own one, but yeah, drive it. I mean, that's a bitchin' era of Formula One.
I mean, yeah, no, but I didn't mean just like try somebody's. Like, do you see that as a desirable object to own a 930 with a Niki Lauda Formula One engine in
No,
it?
cool concept, but does not sound like my cup of tea. I mean, a 930 turbo opened up with a K27 with a little bit of turbocharger enhancement, bolt-on, non-invasive, and a little better exhaust is an unbelievable car that you don't need more power and you don't need more thrill. So this is for people who have a lot of disposable income and want something different than their neighbor.
It's deep fried pizza, I feel like. It's like, people like 930s. Let's put all the power in the world in it, but from a very special place. And
Like,
you
is
put
it
all those
even
ingredients together.
drivable? Can you even, like, because don't you need, like, one of those, like, engine block heaters to even start one of those fucking engines? Like, how are you going to start it? Like, what's it going to run on?
I assume they've had to do a lot of engine mapping and try to make it a little more drivable. But yes, that is a low-hour engine. That is not a 100,000-mile engine.
You're just buying an engine stand that's, like, easier to move around the garage.
It's a rad idea, but it seems like a Forza car.
Yeah, exactly. Likewise, a parentheses well-sorted 993 with a Ferrari 458 Speciale engine. I think that would be a bad idea. Yes,
It'd be fun, but
I mean, it'd be silly,
fun.
but
it would make everybody really mad.
I think you would.
Similar to the race service boys who stuck a 430 engine in a
GT6?
FRS.
No, it's a 458 engine.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, 458. That actually kind of works because it fits. Like, it's there's something about that ethos really that works. I don't think
cool.
a Ferrari engine and a Porsche really
Flat
works.
sixes work for a reason, especially as a rear engine, low CG, and they're a great engine. So
Yeah.
if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Corey says, do I have buyer's remorse on the 911 and Countach? No to both. I do not have buyer's remorse. No.
Will you hold on to that Countach?
Yeah,
Nice.
that. I mean, I don't know about. I'm not using the word forever anymore, but
Yeah,
I
you
didn't.
turn
It's
cars.
not a flipper. It's
that's
not
cool.
a flipper. No, and my building will be done in like 8 months, and it won't have to live at my house anymore. Although, I have to say that when I go into my garage and just see it there, even if I'm not driving it, it makes me very happy just to see it there.
You realize what a slippery slope it is to have space.
Yeah, I'm trying to sell it out quickly, so I'm not giving myself too much
Is there
space.
designated track car space for you?
No, I'm giving myself two spaces. One, a tandem. So I'm allowed to have two, and that's it.
Okay.
And so
2 total, not stacked 2.
no, the stackers are going to be sold. It's going to be 2 in the basement in the back corner.
So
for
5
me.
cars total. 3 at home.
Well, because where would you want to store the TST drift missile,
Good point.
which we do have?
That's a good question. That I have no problem storing at home, because if a vagrant broke into my home and stole it, I wouldn't feel so bad. Yeah. I'm worried about. I'm more worried than ever about. Did I close the garage door? Did it close all the way? I'm really worried about that for the first time ever. Oh, well, Bimmered Me brings up an interesting point. He likes the show, but he wished there was a censored version so I could introduce my kids to it as well. Listen, you're going to have to understand something about your kids. If they exist in the world, they're going to hear people cursing. I'm sorry that I have to curse so your kids can't hear the show. But what is the point of doing a show on the internet if you're then going to censor yourself?
It would just take so long to edit. We couldn't possibly
we don't
do
need
it.
to do that. We don't need to do that. Our audience, we have 1% audience under 16. No kids listen to this show. Don't subject your kids to this show. They're going to think it's boring.
Probably.
Especially if they're the kind of kids who can't listen to cursing.
We will sell bleep versions for $200.
Yeah. Zach, you can email Zach Clapman at Gmail, and he will make you your own bleeped version.
I'm going to bleep that because you put my real email in there.
You can email Zach at thesmokingtire@gmail.com.
There we go.
Let's see. Scotian F3CS says, what are the funkiest, weirdest racetracks you've ever driven or raced on? Anything that stands out in particular? Patrick, funky, weird racetrack.
I raced at a track in San Jose, Costa Rica that was pretty funky. That would be a nice way of putting it. It was
in what way was it funky?
So breaking into turn one, there was a cinder block wall running parallel with the racing line. So if you happen to veer right for any reason, it would probably can opener your car right down the middle. You
like
also
the narrow end of a cinder block.
Yeah. You also, when we arrived to the racetrack on the outside of the racetrack, came to a chain link fence and looked left and right. A Trans Am car blew by at about 150, and then we crossed the track during an open session. So
seriously,
different style.
Remember that track in Florida on Round North America? Same thing.
Yeah,
with more safety, but yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very shady.
Bathurst, insane. Sort of like Nürburgring Nordschleife with kangaroos on the side of a hill. Pretty insane. That race is coming up first weekend of February. It's the first year in about 4 that I'm not traveling there for. Be bummed to miss the 12-hour, but check that race out online. It's got good coverage.
Does that track have one of the longest straightaways in the world nowadays? It's got 2, right? The uphill, downhill, and they're just... I mean, I know from video games they're very long.
Yeah, Conrad, the back straightaway heading down the hill is got to be one of the longest, at least closed course straightaways. Döttinger in Germany and the Nordschleife would be probably longer, but similar. Okay. It goes on forever. When the straights get that long, like in Le Mans, it gets a little eerie when you're riding in top gear for many seconds because you're just bouncing along. And I remember one year at Le Mans, I had a huge black crow that I hit on the back straightaway, and I was sure at 200 miles an hour that thing was going straight through the window. I literally
did it bounce
ducked.
Off the window?
It did. It hit like right where your rearview mirror is, and it left like a black mark with a little bit. Anyways, I won't get too graphic, but I ducked because I was sure it was coming through.
You got a great view.
Yeah.
How much can you duck? Like you have Hans on and you're strapped in. You just kind of like took your head
I probably didn't move far, but I reacted. Luckily, I didn't crash.
Of course.
You've heard a lot of stories about racetrack animals do big damage. I mean, a little squirrel will go through a fender. So,
wow.
There's a track I got to drive in Sweden called Knutstorp Ring. You ever hear of this track?
I've been to Anderstorp, but I think that's a different track.
It is one of the gnarliest cloverleaf sections that's like got crazy banking, and it's just this it's like Latigo on a racetrack.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, it was really neat. It's like you've been to Bilsterberg, I imagine.
Yeah.
Imagine Bilsterberg was smashed down to 3/4 scale. It's like that. Very funky. Nice. Tommy L. Garage says, if watches could be compared to cars, what would an F80 BMW M3 manual be? Okay. And he bought a Panerai. You're welcome for that guidance. I see you're an IWC wearer, Pat.
I mix it up.
Yeah.
We this is a watch that was a gift after Le Mans one year, and just like the aesthetic of the watch. It's
I am wearing my IWC
nice.
as well.
Nice. Yeah. No formal endorsements here.
No formal endorsements. I just like my IWC.
Yeah.
F80 BMW manual M3 in watches. Breitling Navitimer sounds about right, actually. I mean, let's see. Who do I know who drives M3s and what watches do they wear? It's going to be a Rolex sub, or it's going to be Breitling Navitimer, I think, is a good one, actually. Patrick?
You lost me at F80.
That's
that's the new
one.
Generation?
That's the new one, yeah. What kind of watch does a BMW M3 driver wear?
I'm gonna say your old Rolex, the green one, because M3s are great and Rolexes are great and durable, except yours was always like 2 minutes off after like 5 days. So it's like
I learned later that that's
and
normal.
they're recognizable and everything, and then there's always just something a little wrong.
I think of like Panerai or something simplistic and technologically. I mean, I find BMWs to be really machine oriented. They're great pieces, but they don't have that emotion or that busy nature. They're very, very clean and straightforward.
There you go. Panerai. All right. Zane says, I just bought a 2016 Fiesta ST. Congratulations. What mod or mods could you not live without on yours? The Cobb Stage 1 tune with the catback exhaust was great. The intake didn't add any power, but it made a nice whoosh, kind of noise. So intake exhaust Stage 1 tune, and then a good set of Michelin Pilot Super Sports or PS4Ss. Call the game. You're good. Auto Kennel says, hi, Patrick. Oh, shit, I just broke my pen. Any hints on Luft this year? Looking forward to another eclectic vintage tour again. From Paul from Auto Kennel.
Yeah, the eclectic vintage tour was our December gathering. We had 65 to 75 era mixed mark cars and went up into the hills, and Paul put a pretty cool video up. Luft 6, no input at this point. Just kind of laying low, preparing for the race season, and coming off of 3 shows in 6 months. So everybody's taking a little breather, but we'll definitely keep the tradition alive of a spring SoCal event.
Brilliant. Dakawa4 says, I got an 06 Cayman S. I'm looking for cheap ways to learn how to wheel. I'm in Monterey and Skip Barber costs too much. Any cheaper suggestions? Tips for road driving, karts? What's the most cost-efficient way to get better at driving?
The most cost-efficient way is esports, in my opinion.
Oh, okay.
You can focus on the mental approach to hitting your marks, learning racetracks, racecraft, etc. I think you need car control, so you need to get on loose gravel, snow, something closed course. Go do an off-road racing school, sprint car school, something that gets you used to throwing a car sideways. So when you do take your own car onto the track and you might be a little over exuberant, you can get yourself out of trouble. And I always like indoor karting for a little bit of physical exercise and rub-ins racing, racecraft. But yeah, once you're topped up on all your weekly driving activities, then rip your Cayman around a good safe track day.
There you go. I would say right. The esports is a great one. If you can, get a track day with some instructors at the track day. Just you don't need to go to Skip Barber like a lot of club race track days.
HPDE is really good about that.
Yeah, and then practice your footwork and handwork on the street. That's free.
Get involved with your local PCA. Region and go out. They've got all kinds of stuff, autocross, DE, as you said, where you get someone next to you who is brave enough and knows what you need to work on. That's all really cost effective.
And read Speed Secrets too. It's a good way to do it too. Sean says, I'm moving from an NB, that's a second gen Miata, Patrick, to an E30 M3 for budget enduro in WRL. I'm thinking of doing a K24 A2 with M3 style bodywork, lighter and more fuel efficient than the straight 6. K Miata is offering a swap kit. Thoughts on swapping a BMW E30 to a Honda K24? It's lighter and more fuel efficient than the straight 6. Man, that's a lot of work. That's a lot of...
It is.
I don't know. Doesn't WRL, is there really an advantage? I think WRL does classes by lap time, not by your car. So you don't have an advantage over putting, you know what I mean? Okay, it'll make your car faster, but I'm not sure that really matters because in an E30, if your car gets faster, they just put you in a faster class. You're not in the top tier classes. So okay, it could be kind of fun to put a Honda motor in your BMW, but what is it gonna get you really? Because there's mandatory stop minimums in those races. So once you're beyond a certain point of fuel efficiency, it doesn't matter anymore. And E30s are within that, And then I don't know. Would you bother?
Sounds like you got to be into modifying and vehicle dynamics and projects and spending money. There's plenty of things out there that are going to be better racing than re-skinning and re-power planting your car.
It seems like a Lemons project, but in a more serious series.
Sounds fun.
I think for all that time and money, you could just buy a E36 and you're going to be at whatever performance envelope you thought you might get to with all this work.
I don't know.
Yeah, I can't really see a reason to do it.
I don't want to piss on this guy's parade, but, you know, if you want to do it, if that's your idea of fun is doing that work, go ahead. But I think you're going from a slow car to a slightly faster car and then doing a lot of work to make it slightly faster than that when you could just spend more money and get better car when not have to do all the building. Anyway, same guy says, I'm looking for a classic style truck for race car towing and snow driving, thinking of a first gen Cummins Dodge or a mid 90s turbo diesel Ford. Any experience, thoughts? Brian Scotto just made a whole bunch of money flipping his Ford F-250. Seems they're on the way up.
They are. Yeah, that was a cool truck, but even he was amazed. We were talking afterwards. He's like, man, I can't believe what people are paying for these now.
Yeah.
Because he bought it years ago for whatever.
They look good. Looking good gets you a long way. They're simple and they look good, man.
Well, there was just an article like literally yesterday on Jalopnik about Dodge Cummins engines and how they're bulletproof with the exception of like a dowel pin problem, but you can fix it with a really cheap part. I mean, that's literally as much as I know about old diesels is, go with the reliable choice.
What are your thoughts, Patrick, on track day tires? Because our friend Russell here says, I'm not quick enough to justify continuing to buy RE71Rs for my track car, and I need a more budget-friendly tire. I'm considering PS4S or maybe Federals until I'm a better driver.
Yeah, I liked the PS4S. We were on that similar event on track driving whatever they had out at Thermal. And
M3s, I think.
Yeah, the tire was great. It was versatile, and you can drive the car to the track and lean on it pretty hard. The way they designed the tread pattern and the compound, it sort of had a dual personality. On the inner shoulder where you would normally be driving, it was a pretty versatile compound and tread spec. And then when you get a lot of lateral load and the tire starts to roll over, it gets a bit more aggressive. So I thought that was a fun tire and pretty all around.
Yeah, I mean, PS4S is a good, well-rounded tire that lasts a long time for a sport tire. So I think it might be just as expensive as the RE71Rs to buy, but it might last twice as long or 3 times as long. So Federals are okay. I've never liked them on racetracks, but if you're looking to save money, you know, you're going to lose some lap time, you're going to lose some grip, but it might make the car move around a little more, which might help you learn. So there's that angle too. You can buy some like legit like Prius tires, you know, and slide the car all over the place and learn to drive that way too. Snazzy Q says, coming from a ceramic pro installer, what are your thoughts on ceramic coatings and whether or not they're overhyped? You ever fuck with a ceramic coating?
A little bit, but not the guy to answer this question. Sounds like this guy knows the answer.
It sounds like he wants the answer that he's.
That's right.
Yeah, he's not going to like what I have to say. I was talking to a friend of mine who I will not name, but knows a thing or two about detailing. Apparently, it's not really what you want to do with your car.
Really?
Yeah.
Because we have our other mutual detail friend said that it was like the new hotness.
Yeah, well, it apparently is, but apparently a lot of these people are offering like 10-year warranties on this stuff, but it hasn't been around for long enough to know what happens. And to get it off, you have to like sand it off. And according to my detailer connection, when you're sanding it off, it's almost impossible to tell when you've stopped sanding the ceramic coat
and you're on clear coat?
Now sanding your paint. Yeah. And so
all right.
Yeah.
That's really good to know.
Yeah, the people I talk to recommend clear bra if that's really what you're trying to do to protect your paint. I don't know. It seemed a little like maybe it works, maybe not. I did hear good things about ceramic coating on wheels. That people do it on wheels and it makes brake dust come off easier.
Okay, that's cool.
I've never had it myself, but this is what the research has led to. I'll let Patrick stay quiet on that one.
How does the cost compare between?
I don't know what that is, by the way. That happens a couple times a day. That sound.
Well, I think Armin's E46 is ceramic coated. I drove this guy's Passat, and his paint was amazing. And I was like, and he's like, yeah, my friend ceramic coated it. And then our friend that details, the younger friend that details was like, well, it's really good. It makes the clears really hard. Dirt doesn't stick to it. Like your car looks clean for a longer period of time with less maintenance. So it's like you spend money on the ceramic, but you don't have to detail as often. But if you have to sand it off,
yeah,
I'm not doing that anymore.
Yeah. Do you have to go, by the way?
No, I'm good.
Okay, cool. We got 10 more minutes and then we're out of here. Team Schubel says, I know Matt drove the V8 swapped Cayman, but have any of you driven a V8 swapped 911? Are the handling characteristics any different? I've never driven one. You ever try one of those like Renegade hybrid LS swaps?
No.
They look like a riot. I would love to try one for 20 minutes.
Yeah, I think it'd be fun in a straight line.
I drove a V8, a Cayman that had Boss 302 Ford 4-cam V8 in it, and it was real crazy. I mean, it was like 500 horsepower, and it revved to 8,300, and it was nuts. It had air conditioning, everything worked, and it was insanely fast. It was one of the fastest Porsches I've ever driven, and it sounded like a NASCAR. Like it was just batshit.
Yeah, I think about just all of the water cooling and how to keep the thing running cool in that chassis.
It worked. It
Lots
didn't.
Of creative places to stick radiators.
Yeah, I guess, and also the hatch that was like the trunk and also became the engine cover in this one was actually permanently propped open by like an inch, so it sort of had a little extracting effect. There, like the latch was kind of raised up, which they said they were going to solve in future. I drove their prototype. This car was literally trucked to my house from SEMA and just dropped off, and I was like, oh god, a SEMA car. And I was left alone with it for a week to do anything I wanted, and no supervision at all, and it worked perfectly. I was shocked. And it was crazy, and it didn't overheat, it didn't act up, the air conditioning worked, the whole deal. I couldn't believe it, and it was insanely fast. It was a good time. Christian says, I ran the Nexen snow tire in a rally car last weekend in New Hampshire where I live and was impressed. I believe Molly Taylor, rally driver, promoted it when she was on. All right, there we go. Thanks, Christian. And he also said he has a Focus RS, so good chance to see how he does off-road. All right, cool. Benjamin says, oh, hi from Salt Lake City. There we go. I have my 2000 Jeep XJ that my grandfather gave me as a daily driver. I'm looking for something sporty from $4,000 to $5,000. Amount of seats are not an issue. Open to vintage cars as well, preferably okay in the snow. Well, tires are going to make your cheap car in the snow. Not anything front drive, rear drive. You're not getting an all-wheel drive sports car for $4,000. So.
Front drive will handle snow a little better because of the weight, but with good snow tires, the rear-wheel drive would be more fun.
What would you spend $5,000 on? Something sporty, possibly vintage. Could you get an MGB that works for $5,000?
E30?
You could get a 318
it's not like old,
maybe.
But it's old, dependent for millennials.
I saw a cool 924S for sale at Greg Fordall's shop. I think we wanted like $5,000 or $6,000 for it.
Really? A 924 for? There you go.
And it was dialed.
Yeah, 924 for $5,000. I'd fuck with that. That's not so bad.
I don't know how it'd be in the snow, but give it a try.
Probably okay with snow tires on it.
Yeah,
right.
Hydraulic handbrake. Just set the rear as you go in and bury the throttle.
I like where you're at.
An EG Civic. You can get a Civic hatch with someone's modifications already on it and fine tune it and have a really fun car.
That's the best budget fun car.
Yeah,
especially under $5,000, under $4,000. Yeah,
Civic hatches are where it's at. They're really fun. I would start there. Thanks, Benjamin. David Zumat says, should I keep my 2014 BMW 335i or sell it and get a 2010 335i with the older engine to mod? I could mod the N55 in the future, but want a car to wrench on. I think I'm not sure about the modability of the 14 versus the 10. I'm guessing the 10 is easier to make power with. He's saying, should I sell my newer car and get an older car to wrench on?
Well, the N55 was single turbo, twin scroll, right? And then the N54 was twin turbo, which people like. I just don't understand. You want the car to wrench on, like. I hope he's not saying that one is easier to wrench on than the other, but yeah, I mean the aftermarket seems to prefer the N54, but I mean we've both driven cars with both engines with mods, like they're both fast.
They're both really fast. This guy's got to only have one car. If you've only got one car, don't do this. Don't get an older car with 4 years more beating on it for your only car. Don't do that. You have a really nice car. Find a way to get a little bit of power out of that. You know what I mean?
It's not a tune will give you lots of power with that engine. So trust me, don't I would do that.
Yeah. Vlad says, is it possible to add steering feel to a modern car? Interesting question. I changed my daily from a Cayman to a Tesla Model X. Here's your problem. And missing the engagement in the steering. Assuming unlimited budget, what could be done?
You're going to want to go to the Porsche dealership and buy a Sport Turismo.
Do not touch the steering on your Tesla.
Yeah.
You're gonna be on the side of the road.
Well, Tesla's steering is fully servo. I mean, it is actual video game steering. It's not like real.
Right. And it's all connected right to the autopilot and all the other stuff.
It's all servos. Like I don't think you could do anything with that car. Like assuming unlimited budget, and let's just call it a normal car with electric power steering that's not a Tesla, you could do like in the Hyundai, the Veloster. We just had the new Veloster N, and they move. There's two different places to put the power steering pump, right? On the column or on the rack, or on the shaft or on the rack, right? And the rack is what Porsche does, right?
Yeah.
And the rack is where Hyundai moved the power steering pump for the Veloster N, and it changed the steering feel dramatically. So that was like one thing.
I mean,
that's one thing you could do.
We know like alignment can help, tires can help. If you had a normal car, but I'm with Patrick with this. Like,
don't fuck with a
there's
Tesla.
too many computers going on in there. You're not gonna notice it.
Yeah, you could just buy an 85 911 with no power steering, and you'll get all the feel you ever wanted.
That is a better idea.
Yeah, that's where your unlimited budget could go, to a Workshop 5001 car and get all the steering feel. Sleepy996 says, is the new Porsche GT market sustainable when half the owners view them as an investment and intend on flipping? I mean, is the market sustainable? Does he mean? Do you think he means the flipper market or the actual new car? Because I read that 40% of all 911s sold in 2018 were GT cars.
Yeah, I don't have that fact, but it's certainly something that's talked about a lot. I mean, there is a feeding frenzy for the GT cars, GT3, GT2, etc. Sustainability, I mean, right now it's the hot car. It's a supply and demand issue, and there are more people that want them than dealers that have the allocations. So do the math. I mean, the next slot of cars is going to answer that question. But certainly 991, we the facts are the facts. We built more 991 GT3s than we did 997, and more 997s than 996s. So
yeah, I think do you still have the RM auctions page up, Zilzak?
Nope. But
there's a couple of very modern cars that are for sale, including a new GT2 RS that has 50 miles on it or something, and someone wants $500,000 for it. Or at least that's a pre-auction estimate. I think. Look, even that LaFerrari, to go out of the Porsche market, that LaFerrari is a year old right there. LaFerrari Aperta, a year old, and the estimate is what, Zach?
$6.5 million to $8.5 million.
So 2 to 3 times what that car cost new a year ago. So what we have now is a bunch of very rich people that can afford, that are in the club, the allocations club, and have no problem dropping $2 million or $3 million on whatever they can get their hands on, and whatever Ferrari or Porsche will sell them, because they know there are 4 or 5 times as many people who have the money but not the connections, and they can just park it for a year, bring it to RM, and triple their money maybe. How much? What's the estimate on this GT2 RS, Zach?
400 to 500.
Yeah, so double. It's crazy.
How many of those LaFerraris? That was a special edition LaFerrari.
I think 300, either 300 or 400.
That wasn't just a normal LaFerrari. That was
the convertible.
Got it.
Aperta is the convertible.
Yeah, a 911R was, I think, 900 units worldwide. Yeah. I don't see that. To answer the question, I don't see that car going down in value. If you look at the 4-liter,
it had a moment that Porsche quickly handled by putting the manual in the GT3 and doing the touring. Those went from $180,000 sticker to $800,000 for a few months to now they're down at the in the threes kind of where they quote should be. You know, it's not, because I was in one of those. It's fucking cool, but that's not $1 million driving experience. You know, it's especially because it's virtually indistinguishable now from a GT3 Touring, unless you hear one drive at speed and you can hear the subtle nuance in the engine, which there is. But.
Yeah, but I mean, this is all collector car talk. This isn't per dollar of experience.
Right,
When you look at 73 RS, and those cars were trading, you know, cheap 30 years ago.
Oh, if you go to early 90s or late 80s car magazines and you flip to the for sale section in the back, it's like, Ferrari 250 Lusso 17.5. You know what I mean? And they've all got, it was owned by Phil Hill, huh? You know, it meant nothing.
Small premium.
Yeah. Miguel says, guesses on the first road car to hit 300 miles an hour. He thinks it'll be Koenigsegg. Koenigsegg is a good guess. I think it's a safe bet. I think if Hennessy gets his thing, I don't know if we want to call that a road car. The F5 is a road car. It
is.
Maybe that. Maybe Koenigsegg. Maybe the McLaren Speedtail, if they could find. The problem is finding a place to do that.
Well, yes, but I think Koenigsegg has proven after that run in Nevada, like that road will work for it. Because previously it seemed like unless you could get into VW's compound, you know, there's nothing flat enough, safe enough, long enough. But Koenigsegg did what was it, 278 or 267 or whatever the fuck.
80.
And that was just on a public highway they closed. So,
you know that road between Pahrump and Vegas. The 160?
Yeah, I've driven that road. I didn't realize
very fucking straight. What did he do?
284.
Yeah, 284.
How long is that straight?
Long.
Ballpark?
I mean, it's like 8 miles. Oh, shit. It's long. Yeah, it's very long. I mean, I don't think it needed the whole straight. That's as much as they could. I think that was the end of the car. I don't think he ran out of room.
Yeah, you're going to get to terminal velocity of the...
Yeah, maybe that Regera might be able to do it. I don't know if Christian's nuts. I would put my money on Christian doing it. But John Hennessy would just keep putting more horsepower at it until they did it eventually. McLaren will not probably get or if they do, they'll pretend like it was by accident.
And Bugatti, when the Chiron came out, they said we are going to like uncork it and give it a shot on our test track to see what it can do. But they seem like they would be so careful that if it didn't hit a number that they wanted, it might not publicize it, or if something went wrong, they wouldn't publicize it, and who knows if they even will.
There you go. Quinn 18T says, Pat, if you didn't race for Porsche, what is another GTLM team you'd want to drive for?
Oh, it's interesting question. You know, over the years, the main competition, Corvette's been tough. Obviously, Ford and Ganassi are really tough stateside right now. BMW, those guys are all right there. Let's just call it for hypothetical to sample one of those cars. I think the car that would be interesting to sample would be the Ford GT, just to see how different it makes power than our naturally aspirated flat six, you know, V6 turbo. Looks like a much different driving experience.
Oh yeah, Christian says the winner of the rear-wheel drive class in his Rallycross was a 924.
There you go.
For the person from Salt Lake City looking for a cheap sports car. There you go. So you could win.
Check out Greg Fordall's Facebook page. It's a nice car.
What do you want to promote anything before we get out of here, Pat?
You know me, keep it low key. No, you'll be racing Pirelli World Challenge this year, which is now called the SRO Blancpain so-and-so, but the pre-existing Pirelli World Challenge, and then also IMSA and GTD with Park Place Motorsport. And Luftgehult is the side hustle, just trying to keep Disruptor car movement fresh and fun, and we've got a few cards up our sleeve for some different formats.
In between now and the next event, is there Luft merch available on your site that you can buy?
Yeah, there is. We're rebuilding the online store right now, but it went all the way through the holidays pretty solid, and we should be back up before the end of the month with a little revamp. So yeah, luftgehult.com, and my Instagram page is PL Motorsport. I'm not a over poster by any means, but I try to get something up there every week.
All right. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah,
appreciate you coming in.
Yeah.
I know it's tough to schedule you with your global travels, but I'm glad to see you when you can make it. And save me a spot at the next Luft. I can bring something purple.
Yeah, no, we look forward to seeing the car. I'm glad you got Marco driving your car because Marco's been a real naysayer of any kind of off-roaded version. He always said you're chopping it up or whatever he would text me.
No,
and
Marco thinks
I think he's probably into it after
No,
he drove
Marco
it.
thinks my car is cool.
Nice.
Yeah, he thinks it's fun.
Yeah,
he
he's a
likes the
solid-
spirit of it, and he did a really. We're gonna get him on the show soon. He did a really nice job rebuilding my engine. It's really smooth. It's making good power. We have to have. We had to have Steve Wong. You know Steve Wong? He's this guy who makes the chips.
Yep.
He physically makes the chips for the air-cooled cars. And my car's got a light flywheel and clutch. And so when it's really cold out, you know where I'm going with this?
Tough to idle.
Tough to idle.
Yeah. So he got you something. He
And
apped something up.
so it did a thing when it was cold out where it was tough to idle beforehand. Now with the rebuild, it's actually doing it more because the engine's tighter, says Marco.
Okay.
And it's been colder, but it's not that cold. It's like 55 degrees out. And I'm talking about like I want to go skiing with this thing, so it's going to be cold.
Right.
And so Marco was pretty much like, well, there's two ways to handle this. We can either put your stock flywheel and clutch back in, which I don't want to do, or Steve can write a chip that compensates for this. So I said, chip. So apparently on Saturday I'm going to go up there and have Steve Wong made a new chip.
Cool.
So
yeah, you can practice your left foot braking. So pull it out of gear, come up to the stop sign, left foot on the brake, and you can keep your idle right where you want it.
I know, but just driving
free
in
peddler.
traffic sucks like that. I've been doing that the last 2 days, but it's driving me nuts.
No, you get it dialed. I mean, there's.
Have you've seen that issue before though, right?
Yeah, we experimented. We had to adjust our Luftgehult 2 when we went to the ITBs, and Gamroth had to dial that thing in. He came down with his big laptop and tuned it up. So yeah, you'll get it dialed.
Motronic's
pretty.
They fixed it with a software fix. Handled it, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I like the feel of the light clutch. I don't want to or the light flywheel. It revs up real nice.
No, I think you stick with that and try to dial it in.
Yeah.
Last ditch would be going back to the heavy flywheel.
No, I'm sure. Apparently, Mr. Wong has seen this shit a million times too, so knows what to do.
Popular chick.
Patrick Long, Porsche factory driver and a man of many talents. Thank you for coming in, and now expert on home construction.
Good to see
renovation.
you guys. Barriers.
PL Motorsport on Instagram. Thanks for coming by. The Smoking Tire Podcast is powered by Shout Engine as I sail my pen across the table. Get your own damn podcast at shoutengine.com. It is easy. All you need is a microphone, a connection to the internet, and preferably something to say. Happy Thursdays, people. I will see you guys next week. Bye.